Now I'm a believer of a love that's deeper. Ooh, temperature's evil.
Intensely sends it to the outside. He can't get there. Kevin King is going to win the Barbizzel FTF Cup Series.
Into the lead. Bud gets wrecked in front of the pack. He saves it. 3-4 wide as they come to the white flag.
Here comes Vargas down on the apron. They are 5 wide. Ian Plash will win it at the line. Is this package? Oh, there goes Jordy Lopez Jr. That's your race leader. Caution flag is out.
Still no one willing to give up as they are going to be dead even off of the first chicane.
Oh, he saves it. What's going to happen here? Here comes the canvas. Oh, get your front gear.
He's got it. He's got it. Get there. No.
This is going to win.
When a season gets itself back away again, it is truly the most magical thought that you have out there. It is a track which, by all intents and purposes, is all about pure pace. This is the Michigan International Speedway. This is your modernracingprince.com FTF1 Series, and this is round one, the US 500. Welcome to FTF.gg for the opener of this season. My name is Jake Sperry. Joshua Mendoza is along with me for the ride. We are just off of the I-94, just about 15 miles away from Ann Arbor in Michigan. And Joshua, we look at today. We look at what you need to do for a season in a car like these Dallara IR01s, which are scary, scary machines. You have to set a precedent here today over 250 laps worth of racing.
250 laps and 250 miles per hour. Those are the speeds we'll be reaching here at Michigan International Speedway, the lone remaining sister of Texas World Speedway and Auto Club Speedway. This track is fast. It's bad. We watched it all yesterday during qualifying, bite competitor after competitor as their dreams were snatched away from them going into turn number 1, going into turn number 3. Mistakes will be easy to make, and they will be extremely unforgiving. But unlike yesterday, it won't just be a single car spin. If someone makes a mistake, how many cars will be taken out? Is it going to be your fault that your race will end early? That's something we'll find out here, Jake, in just a moment.
We certainly will. You're pretty much on the edge of your seat, driving at speeds nearing 250 miles an hour, 400 kilometers an hour over the course of racing, as drivers will line up 3 wide for this traditional 3 wide start to racing that we will have here as the first of 3 Triple Crown events over the course of this season. But now as good a time as any to run ourselves through the starting grid to see how everyone lines up for today's action here at the Michigan International Speedway. They line up in 3s because on the inside with the fastest time at the US 500s qualifying, it is Brandon Hawkin in the 099. We'll have Matthew Zwack alongside in the middle, and on the outside, the very experienced Jonathan Goke in 3rd position. Row 2 will house Ryan Narocki, Cole Freilich, and Ryan Pandischio. So 2 Ryans then on the 2nd row of the grid. And then row 3, Spencer Burns, Justin Malillo, and Nicholas Pressey make up 7 through 9.
Yes, we do. And then row 4 has Jack Paintner, Spencer Ray, and Blake Reynolds. Blake, a quick driver, but can't quite figure it out in qualifying yesterday, starting a little further back than he wanted. Jeffrey Brewer, Nate Stewart, and Matthew Brewers, 2 Brewers, row 5. Paul Mikolajczyk, David Cabrera, and Seth Eggert will round out row number 6.
Yeah, so that puts ourselves then through this 33-car field. Tyler Williams then will go from what is row 7's inside with Josh Stoltz and Roger Saucier making the outside then in 21st position. 22nd will be Tommy Bordeaux. We'll have Brian Zabelski and Robert Lowry, the Irishman, for a bit of company there. Very late for the Irish Drive to Go Racing, along with the next row, which will see Joseph Weaver here on row 9, Nick Roten, and as well as that, Callie Bagent, who will be there in what is 27th position. 6 left to round out the field.
Row 10, Hamilton Akabuzi, Corey Vivent, and Rafael Ruiz will be rounding out row number 10. Cody Ware, she'll be starting on the inside line with Derek Catt in the middle. Andrew Schulte, last minute addition to the field. Unfortunately, Bill Cooley was unable to connect to the session and will be watching from the grandstands today. As much as he'd want to start the race, he worked hard for that starting position. Won't be able to make it happen. Obviously not a great starting position for his season.
No, definitely not. And this is where it's going to get really interesting. It's going to have a feel of 2 types of racing here to go and get into position today. The question is going to be, is this going to be the long run game or is it going to be the short run game? And it's going to have 2 different understandings of how this race is going to hold itself out right now. You've got this idea, Josh, where if you think it's going to be a lot of short incidents quickly, you're going to really struggle to find a rhythm, and this race is going to feel long, and that's going to be different in terms of how you build a strategy both on fuel and tyres compared to, say, long green flag runs where everyone is coordinating properly.
Absolutely. We'll see these drivers. They seem to have no pace car out in front. That pace car is a mile away from these drivers. They're going to have so much opportunity here to get up to speed fast and quick. This will be our one and lone double file or triple file start here. All other subsequent restarts will be single file for those who have not joined us here at FTF1 prior. So it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. But like you said, is it going to be long? Is it going to be short? I think really that's going to be determined on how these opening laps happen. Jake, I don't see how you don't just have to be on the fly for how things are going to go, whether or not this is going to be a lot of tire changes. They only have 12 out there, or if this is going to be a fuel run game.
We will see how that goes. The hot conditions, I would think tyres are certainly going to be more of a factor. And because we are on the ovals, they are locked to the white-walled hard compound tyre here in this absolute monster of a machine. 3 pace laps to get things sorted as they've ran themselves around here at the Michigan International Speedway. This being lap 3 of the 3 as they get themselves through. So they will look to set themselves up and get themselves ready as the green flag drops. Let's take ourselves underway then here for your US 500. The season starts of the modernracingprince.com FTF1 season.
They go into turn number 1 here. No one dares goes to that bottom yet, except for one driver in the middle of the pack. He's going to make it work. No factor there. But it seems like we already have a battle for the lead as we go into turn number 3.
It just shows you how quickly it's going to be feisty as Matthew Zwack takes the lead, but back underneath then will go Jonathan Goat. Look to go through 3 wide already as they end the opening lap, and it just goes to show you how fast this race is going to be. And now what we did see off that start was a lot of spacing between the top 6 and the rest of the field. Those 6 have made a good group. 7th on back, they're already out of tow range. Justin Melillo leading that second group along.
We already see a lot of single file behind these, but the leaders, they're not content with single file. They want to lead every single lap here. As we cross the start-finish line, this lap will easily be the fastest lap ever ran under race conditions here at Michigan International Speedway.
Oh, you absolutely bet it is. And that was a 30.7 by Brandon Hawkin, racing about with Jonathan Goat for the race lead. Goat covering off that inside, and we're going to see maybe a higher line to start as they now start to build up. You've got Pandicio, who is there. You've got Cole Freilich, who's joined the party. You've also got Naroki trying to hold on to station as well. Zwack then in 3rd position down on the low line. He's going to get a little bit of help here, but this is where you're going to start seeing a bit of dancing. It's coordinated 2 wide. It's almost like an awkward dance that you have to kind of do in these early stages because everyone's trying to work out what makes this brilliant car tick.
Absolutely. They're going to try and figure it out as they go 3 wide down the backstretch for the lead. Something we may see plenty of times throughout the race today as they already get it sorted, shuffling all around. The crossover maneuver is easily made, and he goes to the lead.
Yeah, Pandicio then went to the lead for a moment, struggled a little bit through the middle of the corner. Goke went through, but now the power move up high by Freilich then trying to move on up to the top, but Goke having none of it, holds it side by side through the middle of 2 here on lap 5 of 250. A nice, easy worked start as these top 6 looking to work. They've already built up a 3-second margin here at the front of the field, not necessarily by fighting too aggressively, being too difficult about it. Once more, 3 to the top as they now start to run through. Pandicio now going to try and run around the outside, and in a group of 6 it's a lot easier to coordinate than it is in the secondary group. And I want to take a little look back at it because that stacks pretty much up to Matthew Brewer as the main case, all the way to 15th position and then back. That second group, that's where it gets a little bit more complicated. Look at this gaggle as they run through 3 and 4.
They have not been able to sort it out back here. I've been watching this pack since the start of the race. They have been darting all over the place. I think if something bad happens, it's going to occur out of this group. They're going to get on impatient as we see one go all the way down to the bottom. A dangerous move to be made. There's a seam there that will quickly grab you, spit you out, and send you out in front of the field, wrecking if you're not careful.
Tyler Williams was the driver who decided he wanted to go low at the moment, just leading that group as Spencer Burns, but he's going to cede that at the moment to Spencer Ray. So the two Spencers, 2 different spellings of Spencer, mind you, deciding they want to change those places in the early goings. You've got Williams there, Blake Reynolds, he is a boatload of experience when it comes to ovals, more on the NASCAR front than he is in this Dallara IR01. But let's talk about this car for a moment, Joshua. Naturally aspirated 3-litre V10 mid-90 spec. It's got 900 brake horsepower. This car is 600 pounds worth of weight, or 600 kilograms, which makes it brake horsepower per ton of 1,500.
It's an incredible machine. It's basically the dream of an inspiration between iRacing and Dallara. They got together, worked on this machine to kind of make a car that just breaks the absolute physics of the world. I can tell you right now, some of these drivers, I think some of them might need G suits with the Gs they'll be pulling in these corners. It's absolutely insane what this car is capable of. You know, fortunately, at least they don't have to deal with that, but that's amazing.
It is amazing. We go on board then with Justin Melillo and the Traction Dallara, which has made its way further back in the pack, looking for a little bit of space in the early stages, not wanting to get too worked up with the front of this group. And it's really got this understanding, and it's got that very similar feel to other oval style races that have gone on before, which have been open wheel, where you get that sense that if you're in the fray, if you're in the middle, you're just praying you're not on the wrong side of an incident. You have to have a lot of coordination, and I think that's what we're getting at the moment through these opening 10 laps. First caution of the day, though, will come out, and it will come out near the back of the pack.
It looks like Brian Sabelski's involved. It looks like it might have originated around him. Looking for a replay here shortly. We'll get that for you. And it might have involved the other machine of Cody Ware. She appears to have also been involved. Unfortunate. That'll bring an end to the 86 machine or 85 machine here.
Oh, just moving up the track, nowhere to go. And that's the communication that you need on an oval like this. Drivers are going to go up, they are going to go down. Cody Ware finds themselves in a bit of trouble, and that is how quickly it goes wrong. We'll take another look here. You can see slow car down on the inside, so naturally your ability to move up is the key, and that's where you see Sabelski make the mistake. Moves up a little bit too late there for Ware to do anything to hit the brakes, and just like that, the first caution of the day brings itself into view. And on top of that, a welcome reprieve for those 7th on back as they get to join the party of the front 6 who broke away in the early stages.
Yes, they do. I was going to comment that it looked like the race was starting to kind of figure itself out. It was going to be potentially a long run race. And as soon as I was about to go to that point, the caution flew before you could finish your sentences. We see pit road takers.
Oh, we do. And it's early to see that, but strategy will be a key part of the game. And you look to see who is down in there looking to make a stop. I get an eye on Melillo, who is down in the pits. I get an eye on Jeffrey Brewer, and a lot of the leaders deciding they want to be down in. Naroki is in. Goke decides to make a stop early. So too Matthew Zwack making the call, which pretty much halves the group up from those at the front. Of the top 6, 3 of them have come down in and 3 haven't. And a drive through on the restart then for the number 85 then for that instance. So Sabelski, if able to get that back out and going and driving again, will have the penalty to go through. Of course, no fast repairs here in this US 500, which means that if you break it, you bought it. And that's why you're very much going to be alert on who is around you at all times.
Yeah, I'm looking back at these pit stops here. One interesting person to note, Matthew Zwack, no tires, field only. Everyone else who came down pit road appears to have had tires except for Justin Belillo and Seth Eggert. Those two also doing field only. So a couple of strategy plays already being made early. And, oh, man, I don't know how I feel on old tires. I know it's only 12 laps, but they're old. The track temperature, it's 127 degrees. It's going to eat through tires like no tomorrow, like pasta.
It is, and I think that's going to be very telling, and it's not going to shift either in terms of this temperature. The humidity 49% out there, and the wind's not really doing too much, just 3-4 miles an hour, gusting a little bit out there here today. That won't be anything to really write home about, shake a stick. In sim time, by the way, this is what's going to be interesting in terms of this race. It is coming up to quarter to midday, quarter to noon at this point, Josh, which means that this track's going to get hotter and hotter, and right at the end of the race is going to be when the track's at its absolute hottest.
Yeah, it's just going to get baked. It's sitting here. The sun is going to continue to do it. There's a couple of clouds out in the distance, but I think the shelter from the sun is going to be almost non-existent. I think clouds are not even going to be a factor. We may see one pop over the track for 2 to 3 minutes at some point during the race, but you see right there on screen, what's that but just an open sky of pure baking?
Absolutely. Let's take a look at some of the gainers then over the early stages. The strategy already brings itself into play. Tyler Williams starting 19th in this race, already up to P4, has certainly made a lot of progress in the early goings. Definitely someone whose qualifying pace maybe hid a little bit of the true effort, and definitely made some good progress early in the Williams Mercedes FTF1 machine to jump up through the field and gain those places. That's going to be key, and you're seeing all these drivers moving right up to the very top line of the circuit. A single file restart. They don't want to be passed up on the top. That's the only legal way you can get past before the drop of the flag. So they don't want to be in a position where they leave that vulnerable, as we get the jump going from Brandon Hawkin, the Canadian, who gets a lovely launch. And we go back to green flag running here. Lap 14 of 250.
Single file restart here, as they are already double filed towards the front of the pack for second place. We'll see what's going on there, but they get that sorted. It's going to be close, tight racing off of corner exit. That's Ryan Pendicio and Cole Freilich battling for the second position. Oh, throw. It looks like Tyler J. Williams into the hat as well.
Yeah, so these 4 have got a really good jump on Spencer Ray, who wasn't really able to hold up in station with them as they now rush off of 4. Very low line being taken there as they go through, but why not thread the middle and thread the needle here? Tyler Williams deciding the best course of action is to be aggressive. We take a look on board with Cole Freilich here as we take that. Damn, I'm good, says his shirt. Well, I'm not going to argue with him. He's top 4 in this race. Damn, he is good at the moment.
Yeah, he's looking real good right now. Chooses to go to the outside. Going to do a high apex diamond into the corner, or a reverse diamond, I should say, into the corner, and he's going to go shoot down low. Oh, man, decisions to be made here. Who does he want to push? No, he's going to go 3 wide, and oh, there's another contender to the mix. Spencer Ray is on the inside.
Yeah, you have a look maybe a little bit here. There is the yellow machine trying to stay in play. But look at that drive through the second part of 2. That's enough, but another caution, so quick caution out there, and it looks like it's a big one. Looks like Bagent's involved in this one with a heavy amount of damage. David Cabrera also caught up in the mix with heavy amounts there too. So a big instant there, and that'll be the race over for Bagent in the early stages. Cabrera gone as well. So that one heading towards the rear of the field, and just like that, when you bunch the field back up, Josh, you get that phrase. Cautions, breed cautions. Let's take a look on the... Oh, FTF.GG replay. That's a big hit.
You know what I'm seeing right there? the seam. I told you about it. Is it going to bite people? It absolutely is. That lower lane is so enticing to go and try and make a move. But it also will immediately spit you back out if you make the wrong decision. And unfortunate for Nick Roten, he was the first innocent bystander. Actually, I can't say innocent. He took his car down there.
Yeah, so it's always going to be difficult. We're there, front of the group. Let's see, they're right down low, losing grip there on that inside. The rear step out, and just like that, back up into the circuit there. Not really much you can do. Somewhat got away with that one, but that will be something that the Stewart team will definitely have a look at. But initial issues out there, taking a handful of drivers out of contention then in the early goings. One taker down to the lane. Blake Reynolds deciding he wants to come down in and make a stop. Very off-kilter. It's going to be followed in by Mikolajczyk then to make a stop, the Polish driver. So 2 drivers at least then down into the pits. And you certainly figure that if you're towards the rear, there's nothing really too much to lose, as they will take service here around this Michigan International Speedway.
I see the 2 traction machines of Naraki and Malillo back down again. Interesting. We saw them already come down just a few laps ago. I think I'll probably guess a fuel-only stop here. Yes, and that's exactly what it is, just making sure that they continue to have fuel in their systems.
Yep, so just a top up, which allows them to extend a little bit longer on their run compared to other drivers who are still out there who don't want to necessarily sacrifice the track position out there on circuit. We're going to step aside, though, for just one moment here with FTF. We are flag to flag, and we've had a couple cautions. You are watching the modernracingprince.com FTF1 Series. It's the US 500 here from the Michigan International Speedway. Two cautions in the opening 20 laps. Lap 20 is where we'll go back to green flag running. The 099 of Brandon Hawkin, the pole sitter, will lead them off. Pandisio quick to the follow then as the green flag will come back out in the air and we get back underway with racing. Already we have had 6 retirees from this race in the opening couple of stages, but the top 2 looking like they got a good run. The side-by-side starts to pile up a little bit further back with Tommy Bordeaux and Nicholas Pressey off of the start, but this is where these drivers need to settle down, find a rhythm. Top 3 away it is going to be Hawkin, it's Williams also in the mix. Pandisio now your current leader.
As they go off of the exit of turn number 4, put them underneath a blanket, the 3 of them going to look to go 3 wide into turn number 1. That's not going to be able to happen here as Brandon Hawken not able to get the run to go to the outside, as we saw Ryan Pandisio battle what appeared to be a loose condition as he had the second or the third seam.
Yeah, so he's going to have to be very alert to that. How aggressive does he want to drive the car down? First mileage led then in this race for Tyler Williams then, and will score a lap led at the line, or will they at this point in time? I think he will, and does about manage that. From 19th they go through, but look at that two wide battling. It has brought the entire group back in, and let's get some Noah's Ark sim racing going. Two wide, two deep. Cole Freilich making a challenge for third, and then you got Spencer Ray. Nate Stewart's in the mix, so too you've got Pressy, who is also in that charge as well. The group is 8 at the moment, or actually you could say it's a bit more. It's 10 who are there at the front, and they've got themselves a lovely gap of 1.7 seconds here, the top 11. So they're certainly working through at this point in time. But who wants to be at the front? Who wants to be in the middle? It's very close knit. This is like trying to drive 250 miles an hour on the freeway, lane to lane, chalked up.
Yeah, we got two teammates there side by side. We see the two black cars on the outside directly in front of Nate Stewart here. And Nate, a part of the other team, the AAP meme team, who is battling for the lead right now, as we see Spencer Ray, his teammate, just ahead of him, battling on the middle now with a 3-wide condition for the lead. Give that lap to, I believe, I can't even see who it was. Yeah, Williams.
And the big high line by Cole Freilich, trying to make that work, has certainly found something. Gets great drive through the middle of the corner and onto the straight there, the back straight, gets it beautifully done, and will take laps led then in this race. So Cole Freilich then moves to the point in the early stages of this one. So this is where you're starting to dance about and find some track position. You look at someone like Nate Stewart, who is making moves now in third, will take Tyler Williams along for the ride up on the high side. He's someone who's definitely got that run through. Ooh, it gets close behind for about an 8th position there. That looked like Pandisio and Josh Stoltz almost interlocked tires.
Yeah, they got really close to each other, and that's something to be careful of. Oh, there's a big checkup behind him. Tommy Bordeaux has to back out of it significantly in order to prevent the hitting the Josh Stoltz machine. Oh my goodness, as we see them go once again 2x2 throughout the field as they go down into turn number 1, looking like a NASCAR pace lap around here at Michigan.
Yeah, they certainly are pretty much stacked up nose to tail every which way you look. Across to the beams, down to the low side will look Cole Freilich trying to take the point, and the lead back away once more, and will manage it. But someone like Nate Stewart, as I go back to my point here, Joshua, someone who races in the college NASCAR series, someone who's definitely got a wealth of experience at 22, which is pretty much rare to say otherwise. He's someone who's just looking to go from strength to strength, just ease into the race, use that ability that he's got just to find a little bit of pocket of space and effectively see how the first 80, 90 laps go.
Yeah, he's got the experience to make it happen and to keep these tires underneath him. Once again, we said those tires will be something big. You see him, he's running all the way up on that high line. What does he know that the drivers on the inside line don't?
Well, that is the key, and the first lap led then for Nicholas Pressy at the front. 3 wide push, here comes Cole Freilich to the point as he will split the difference and go to the race lead. But you can't break away, and this is where that draft becomes so powerful in this machine. They've got nothing really except the most streamlined of streamlined runs to go and work through, and these drivers know it, that they are pretty much dancing with a powerhouse here. And if you're seeing the amount of changes and movements for position early, just think if it's a group like this, when it comes to lap 250, you could say anybody of the top 8 in any given lap has a shot of victory when it comes to the opening race of the modernracingprince.com FTF1 Series.
Yeah, we see Tyler J. Williams going beneath the white line. Got to be careful there. That could be easily a penalty for himself. If he goes beneath that white line or the yellow line throughout the corners to make a pass and it's not the last lap, he can get a penalty from race control. And Jay, I want to talk about the draft and these runs that these drivers are getting. We'll see a car go from literally 9th all the way to the front, almost seeming like he's going 10 miles per hour faster than the other ones. How do they manage to pull that off and build up a run like that?
Well, you get that chain reaction. It's almost like having a railgun, that you get the draft from one driver to the next, to the next, to the next, and it gets exponentially more powerful because there is less weight that is run over the top of the car as they push 3 wide again. And this time now up to the point is going to be Stoltz, who will take a little bit of a look then at the front of the field. Josh Stoltz, who will find a first lap then at the front, and a 99 almost grabbing the wall there, has to dip down low to avoid making contact. It's going to be stuck there on that low line as Tommy Bordeaux tries to go over the top. But the fact that you're getting less and less wake to work with means that you have a better punch through the air, and like a dart, you will fly faster. And that's what we're seeing with these drivers. They're able to fly faster and move up through the field a little bit more as Josh Stoltz continues to hold that race lead here, racing about with Tommy Bordeaux. Both these drivers started 20th or back, racing for the race lead. Here comes one driver then to the inside. There goes Ryan Pandicio.
Straight to the lead with that draft that you were talking about. He was able to slide up in front of Stoltz. Not going to be able to cover him off here, as we're going to see Tommy Bordeaux and Stoltz work onto the outside with the push from behind going to Bordeaux from Cole Freilich, and that's going to leave Josh Stoltz out in front into the lead easily here off of corner exit, but only temporarily.
God, how much wash-up did Pandicio have on that inside? He drops about 3 car lengths. A little look there from Cole Freilich, who has never been a million miles away from the front of this field. He's loved being up there at the front. And this group right now finds itself in an interesting position because they're starting to coordinate a little bit further back. The likes of Jonathan Goke & Co. and Matthew Zwack. Remember, those were 2 drivers who pitted early, were up at the front. Well, they've made their way back to the front, and now with the pace, they are looking to really drive on forward and gain as much as they can. Sabelski will be back out on track, but will have the penalty to deal with as he comes back on track. 2 by 2, 4 deep as we go for the race lead here. Lap 34 of 250.
Sabelski, that 21 lap down vehicle, almost got caught up with his lead pack. There was a little bit of a close call there on pit exit, but fortunately no one got hurt there, and everyone was able to continue to go forward. But Sabelski back in this race, but not really back in the race.
Yeah, so in the race, but a number of laps down. You ask how many laps down, the answer is 22. So going to need a little bit of a miracle to get back into position for this, but Stoltz with control of it then, moving through 3 and 4. Don't want to push down too much there for your Cole Freilich. He's trying to take the draft, but Spencer Ray is trying to maybe make some moves, is going to back out of it. Now, there are going to be some drivers here who want to be near the front. There'll be some other drivers who maybe don't so much want to be near the front of the field because they're going to be playing the fuel game and trying to save as much as they can by not being the workhorse at the front of the field. As which way do you want to go? Left, right, left, right. There, that's a little bit of weaving there from Josh Stoltz, trying to work both lanes ever so slightly as he tries to slow it down and maybe mitigate some of the fuel usage that he's got, but he takes it all away again by the fact that he is weaving across the circuit.
Yeah, he is just all over the place. Up, down, left, right, center, 4 lanes, 5 lanes. It don't matter to him. He's going to do it all over the place. And he goes down to that first lane, catches the seam, and has to battle a loose condition. That's going to lose the lead for himself.
Yeah, certainly will do. So it puts Cole Freilich to the point, and here comes Spencer Ray looking to run around the outside. It gets close, but they manage it fantastically. But this is where you're getting these small pocket runs, and this is where you start thinking about, okay, can I pivot to that point? And Stoltz wants to lead laps at the front, wants to try and get into position, but we are hitting later and later into that stint where the tyres are going to be important. And we talk about this being important because all of this work being done at the front, that gap was 3.7 seconds just 10 laps ago. That gap now to Pressy is down to just 1.6 seconds. They're at risk here, this group, of having this secondary pack of about 6 bring itself back in, which is tail-ended by Rafael Ruiz. At this point has the like of Zwack, Goke, Spencer Burns is in there, Robert Lowry and Corey Vervinkt. They're all there. They're all trying to chase down this lead group. 3 wide for the race lead.
Yeah, we're going to see them go 3 wide here, down on the backstretch. Going to have a decision to make here. Who's going to go all the way down to the bottom? It looks like it's going to be Cole Freilich. He is riding on that seam. A dangerous maneuver, but he's going to make it work like a slot car. He's going to keep his lead for just literally a second. Not even going to be able to, just barely leads the lap by 2 1/1000ths of a second.
Yeah, just 2 1/1000ths of a second, making it happen and certainly charging forward at this point. So this is going to be where you want to start coordinating, but 3 grooves working in the middle, getting a little bit of a push there from Tommy Bordeaux now, who's starting to try and make that drive and starting to really settle into this race. So these drivers now just know that they're not going to get many things for being at the front here at lap 40. They're just trying to hold on to see where they go to get to the end of this race. Big high line push around the outside, again from Bordeaux, who decides, I want to take some time here at the front of this group. And this is where you've got to have to work together. Who wants to be at the front? Who doesn't want to be at the front? You look at the drivers maybe who haven't been so much at the front of this group. Jack Painter, Hamilton, Akabuzi are 2 that definitely come to mind. These drivers are absolutely playing the line as someone dives into the pits. That's Tyler Williams then, who decides to get way out of it and make a stop under green flag conditions.
First green flag pit stop right here for Tyler J. Williams. Did it absolutely out of nowhere as we see one almost lose it, but keep it together.
There we go.
Never mind.
Just like that. In the wall goes Jack Painter, and his race over and done with. And it's the coordination around the pits, everyone getting a bit dicey. It all starts around Cole Freilich, and that's where it all just checks up in the front group, and why we get our 3rd caution of the race. Freilich just grabbing the seam, it seemed, and just like that, the race then turning on a dime. And you could maybe argue there that definitely came out at the wrong time for Tyler Williams, who will come out of the pits and realise, I'm down a lap.
That's not a good position for him to be in. Let's see where iRacing timing and scoring puts him. And it looks like...
Got away with it.
Oh, this might be very good for him if it's going to put him out in front of the leader. It's not, unfortunately, though. It looks like it's going to put him right behind the leader, 1 lap down. Almost a break, but not quite.
Sometimes if you stay out, you go for the early stop, you're reliant on a caution not bringing itself into play. And just like that, we see it here with FTF.gg and with this early stages that have gone through of the modernracingprints.com FTF1 Series. So let's take another little look at this then. This is from where the incident happened. So it happens right in front of Jack Painter, and it's going to be with Cole Freilich. You're going to see him dive down through the opening corner on that low line. He struggles, he gets sideways, and then it checks up. And it's where do you go? And effectively, Jack Painter just gets run over.
Yeah, straight from the lead, Cole Freilich goes and dives, hits that seam, I think is what ended up causing him. Yeah, the seam once again bites another driver, Cole Freilich. Not actually get him involved, but that Jordan 191 inspired machine of Hamilton Akabuzi got in contact with him.
Well, let's have a look. So this is how quickly it can get into trouble. Yeah, back steps out on the seam, saves it, and then the incident happens behind, and just like that, they run over each other. Painter with nowhere to go. He paints the outside tyre barriers as he goes through, or the outside safety barrier, I should say, and that then pretty much puts him into a bit of position. So most drivers then have come down in and made a stop, if not all of them, and winning the battle out of the pits then is Spencer Ray, who takes control of that. Brandon Hawkin into second. Josh Stoltz will be third, but a number of gains up through the field, and they are certainly making that work. And this is the first real shuffle that they'll get, and they'll keep counting on this strategy because this is the first time we've really seen here, Josh, where everyone is making the call to come into the pits.
Yeah, it was a super long run there. I think we went probably about 22 laps there under green flag conditions, maybe 21. It made an easy decision. I think everyone wants to come down pit road. Everyone, I imagine, is going to be getting tires here. I don't think anyone just got fuel only, because those tires have got to be screaming for some sort of just a retirement. They've been out there for so long, relatively speaking.
And these drivers know that they want to make those tires last as long as possible, because you talk about having sets available for the end of the race. You want to make sure that you've got enough tire life where you can have the track position and you can charge up through the field. That's going to be where you start understanding, okay, well, what do I need? Ideally, for the last 50 laps of the race, you want to have at least 2 sets of tires left in the back pocket to go, if needs be, I can make a stop, get a set of 4, and just absolutely rush with it. But at least for the moment, these drivers are looking to go to single file. You can see on the iRacing sedan safety car, the lights are off, Josh, which means we'll be going back to green, lap 46.
Yes, we're going to go back to green here. A couple of notes here. Traction GG, machines of Ryan Naraki and Justin Malilla once again continuing with the strategy of coming down, getting a top off of gas just to continue to get that as full as possible. I think that's just going to continue to pay off for them if they're willing to give up that track position. We're not going green here. It looks like we're going to go ahead and extend it one more lap here.
Yep, so everyone then will make sure that they are in position. So they're going to make sure that everything's there together. Race control being led by Jake Poulant is making sure that everything is all nice and okay before we get ourselves going. So there's a little bit of adjustment that needs to be done to get through. So now as good a time as any to go through where the top 10 stands. It's Spencer Ray who has control of the field at the moment in the number 6 machine out there in front. Brandon Hawkin just along back there in second with Josh Stoltz and Tommy Bordeaux third and fourth. Following that is Ryan Pandicio in fifth, Jonathan Goke up to sixth with Spencer Burns in seventh, Nate Stewart currently in eighth, Cole Freilich in ninth position after his sideways moment, and the top 10 is rounded out by Nicholas Pressey at this moment in time. So with the caution extended, they will look to go green this time by, and this is where it gets key. If you find yourself in an incident, you are not going to get yourself a lucky break. Your race is over and done with. We are down to 25 runners on the leading lap, and that is crucial, Joshua, because that will only dwindle as this race goes on.
Yeah, there's certain repairs that your pit crew can make. Not all of them can be made. So if you get caught up in an incident that's big enough, they'll just say, hey, we're done. We're not going to repair it. Also, unlike the road racing part of this series, no fast repairs either. You could easily just have a day ended in a moment. So it is hyper critical that these oval races go well for you if you want to even have a hope at an FTF1 championship at the end of this year.
Yeah, and we need to talk points as well, because this is one of the 3 Triple Crown events over the course of the series. Little blink there by Spencer Ray will be a little bit concerning for his restart then as he goes through. But points are crucial. This is one of the 3 Triple Crown races, along with the Rectangle 500 and the FTF.GG 500. 50 points on offer for the victor overall. If this sorts out to a trip to victory lane, Spencer Ray will get ourselves back underway after the third caution, lap 47, and we're racing again here in Michigan.
Go down into turn number 1. Spencer Ray with an incredible start. This is one of the better starts that we've seen all night. It feels like there's an absolute country mile between him and second, between third. As we see, that's going to quickly start to close up as that draft happens. Hawkin closing in very quickly onto Ray.
Yeah, and that's just how strong this draft is, pushing on that high line, trying to get some form of a breakaway. About 9/10 of a second into the bottom goes Brandon Hawkin, wanting to get back to the point where he started this race overall, position number 1, and does so. Takes the race lead away from Spencer Ray. The group now is going to have to work behind a group of about 6, I would say, at this point. Going back to Cole Freilich, now trying to work on through. A little push down to the bottom then from Jonathan Goke, who's trying to really work hard and make that progress back up through the field, and he is going to get for company Josh Stoltz as well. Look at that, a scything move, 2 for 1, up to third.
Yeah, they're going to easily catch each other up here. The side-by-side racing for the lead will lead these drivers in this third position to start to slowly eat away at that lead that first and second currently hold on to so dearly. But don't look out too far ahead. There's a lap car. How is that going to play into things?
Yeah, that will be Hamilton Akabuzi that they'll be keeping an eye out on, who is way back and will be trying to chase. Now, Akabuzi was caught up in that incident and that last caution in the very, I would say, lovely retro Formula style livery that he's got out there. Is back to the outside. Spencer Ray will take a lap lead, making the move around the outside of turn 1 to make that happen. Stoltz and Goke changing positions, but they have crucially caught onto this group, which now extends all the way back, I would say, to Robert Lowry here. So 14 at the front, and they're all knowing that they want one position, P1. 14 into 1. Doesn't take a mathematician or a genius to know that that just doesn't stick.
No, it's not. And we're going to go 3 wide into turn number 1 again. It feels like a saying that we've been saying all night. Oh my goodness. I think Spencer Ray is getting real loose on that bottom. He hit that lower seam. Inside wheels, not able to get the grip that they wanted as the rest of the field is going to continue to work its way on the outside of him.
Yeah, and you're always looking to try and go through. Now, what makes here that lower seam, Joshua, so dangerous in these machines?
It's real easy. It's not the same substance. This concrete, it's 2012 pavement. It's nice. It's gritty. It gives you a lot of concrete. But those seams, it's an asphalt tar mixture that doesn't have the same level of grip. It's like going from sandpaper to going to a glass surface for these tires. They're not able to make it work. The tires don't like it, and it's just different. It's weird. Tires can't make the same amount of grip, and if you have a weird grip differential there, the tires are going to not like it.
So they're going to be dancing around the grips and effectively going through the lanes. It's very much like being on a wet day on the interstate and finding that you've hit the paint, the white lines that are out there. It's very similar to that. Jonathan Goke on the outside now of Brandon Hawkin looking to make a play to take the race lead. Car coming out of the pits then will stay on the inside. That's no worries at all there as Sabelski will once again exit the pits, but in line, we've got ourselves what is, I would say, a more traditional look of 2 wides as they now start to push here and try and work the lines. A little look again from Goat to the outside, but here comes the little push through the middle. Nope, going to back out of that. Very nearly a case there of Stoltz trying to make some progress there, trying to jump up through the order. Blake Reynolds now starting to move up now, looks for 4th position. Now, this is where you get a lot of experience here. Goke and Reynolds, I would say, 2 OGs when it comes to a race like this.
Reynolds, former Coke Series driver on the eNASCAR front, knows how to make the draft work, but not in a open wheel vehicle, instead in a stock car. How will that experience transfer over here? We didn't talk about him much. He was 6-7 seconds back with a bunch of cars that were single file during the last green flag run, now putting his name in the hat for the lead.
Yeah, and why not? You want to get some laps led. Let's make it 3 wide as we rush on forward here in towards 3 and 4, right down to the bottom. 2 tires dipped underneath there, getting very crazy for Spencer Burns. He's got to be a little bit careful about that as he goes forward there, as he dips a little bit onto the apron. But it is Jonathan Goke who leads, but Tommy Bordeaux is going to decide that he wants to try and make some progress here. He'll look to the outside, and the outside's been the place to get it done so far in terms of making most of the moves.
Yeah, outside is where it's at. That inside lane, you have to go over that lower seam in order to make the corner work. And it's just, for some reason, it doesn't want to work. Oh, not for some reason. We just explained it earlier. No grip down there.
No grip, and it's going to be very much a case of no grip, hot track, extra no grip is certainly what you're going to be dealing with. Understeer central is going to be something to keep in mind, but now they start to really drive for it as they now go through, and up to the point now for the first time is Blake Reynolds, but losing out that immediately as Tommy Bordeaux decides, I want to take a bit of lap lead at the front, taking the low to high line to make that forward, and is going to be followed through by Goat. And they're just dancing about then in this stage, really making it happen. It's the top 6, 7, 8 that are the ones that are wanting to change. And there are a few drivers here who are sitting about and waiting, thinking about what they want to do in terms of this race. Where do they want to position themselves? I'm looking at drivers like Lowry and Vervinkt, who haven't made any progress really so far in this group. They're just sitting at the back thinking, well, we don't need to move just yet. We'll just let them do the legwork, and when the rest of the race, the second half of the race comes along, that's when we can certainly open up.
Yeah, it's lap 60. You don't need to be out in front. In fact, we haven't seen a long green flag run yet, so being in this lead pack is not necessarily a requirement even to win this race. There's a caution that will likely happen and occur that will open up strategy for you towards the end of the race, if I had to guess. But like you said, 250-mile-per-hour ballet, and these people are just making it work.
And the group of 15 that are clear at the moment have themselves about a 4-second margin over Naroki and Rafael Ruiz. So that group going really well. And a big defense as Derek Catt, I've just seen, has made an overtake underneath the line. And Navrocki will get straight on the radio to say he's just overtaken under the apron. And that surely will be a bang. There is the hammer coming down in terms of a penalty over there. But to the front now, it's Spencer Burns who decides wants to get to the front in the mock-up Mercedes and is certainly going to decide, well, this is going to work out. And now, dance about it. Which way do you want to go? Jonathan Goke wants to lead this race from the front. And I suppose you could argue no safer place than the front.
Yeah, safe place indeed. But, I mean, the last caution, you got to look at Cole Freilich. Where was he at but the front? And he just took it to the wrong place on the track, and he was not able to avoid bringing out a caution. He was able to save the car, but the whole stack up caused a major incident behind him.
It certainly did, and I think that's why we see so much go through in terms of this race, and so many drivers are thinking about their track position right now at this point, dancing on that first scene, looking to try and push. Who wants to be brave? Who wants to try and go out there and make this track their own at this stage as this track gets hotter and hotter and hotter? And you have to consider as well with just how huge those tyres are on the back, how much speed they're putting through. This group of 15 are absolutely giving this asphalt a hammering, and that's why this track is only going to get even hotter as this race goes on.
Yeah, that sun's going to continue to bake down on it. As you said, 134-degree track temperature eating through those tires. I want to point out the 13 machine. He's done a couple of things that have made me a little bit nervous. Paul has been going down to that lower lane through 1 and 2. He's been going over the seam, and he's been making time up there, but I'm worried about how comfortable he's getting down there. It's so easy to make a mistake. We saw it so many times yesterday during qualifying. If he continues to go down there, he might be one to be worried about as he continues, just goes right back down there, running over the seam. He's making it work, though.
Oh, we got one there we go, in front of the field, and it's a big, big hit there for Cole Freilich and Spencer Burns. Burns spinning around on that low line once again, and it takes another victim. Fourth caution of the day comes out, and Spencer Burns will not be too happy about the fact that his race ends up in a spin.
Wow, that's, I mean, unfortunate for both of them. They got meatball flags. Their day is probably done. Two big, fast contenders for the lead. Now, looking out from the sideline as we see a replay here, you're going to see it pretty clear and easy. Cole Freilich is going to catch up to the Spencer Burns machine. He goes right around, and it's just a seam. It just bites. I mean, when will they learn? I don't know, man. When will they learn?
Well, it will keep biting drivers very much like an alligator will at this point. But you can see here, that is some brilliant heads-up driving initially. And, well, Cole Freilich decides, well, I'm going to chase it up. But the gap always decreases. I want to find out who that was, second in the line there behind Spencer Burns, because that was some incredible heads-up driving. We'll take a look from Freilich's perspective here, going through. This is where you just got to be alert. See, one car gets through. Second one, not so much going to get that luck. And I tell you what, heads-up driving by Tommy Bordeaux through all of that to avoid it.
Now, I'm looking at the Mercedes machines of Spencer Burns. He's got a meatball, but he's also out on track, and he's able to drive the vehicle. So his day may not necessarily be done. I might have spoken a little too soon there.
Well, it depends how much damage there is and what is required repairs on that machine. If they believe the iRacing system, it's good enough for it, then they have the opportunity to get themselves back out and going again. But a mad scramble down in the pits. One driver, though, has stayed out, and it's Derek Catt who wants some track position at the front. Jonathan Goke wins the race coming off of the pits. We'll go back up then to the front of the field, but at least for the moment, one driver staying out, taking a much different strategy compared to everyone else here on lap 66.
Derek Catt actually joined the field in the middle of qualifying yesterday. He signed up for the FTF1 Series last night, got in, made a lap, did not initially make the field, but because Jake Poulin withdrew his time and a couple of other drivers were unable to make the field, it slotted him into the field, and he was able to make his first FTF1 Series start after just tuning into the to the qualifying show yesterday saying, you know what, screw it, I'm going to throw my hat into the ring and see if I can make something happen. Also to note, Cole Freilich said 1.5 minutes of required repair, so he's not out of it yet.
No, he will drop maybe a lap, and that can be fought back in terms of this race. A lap, it's a minute's pacing around here, so that's certainly going to be interesting. And Derek Catt, I think, just missed the boat in terms of coming down into the pits. It's going to do so now. It's going to fall back to the back of the field and take that stop. So that will cycle everybody then back into position. Jonathan Goke in control from Josh Stoltz, Brandon Hawkin, Tommy Bordeaux, and Paul Mikolajczyk, your top 5 of your modernracingprints.com, slightly misboxed there, FTF1 Series. And for Modern Racing Prints, inspired by the clean designs that typified the start of the modern era of automobile racing, their mission is to design timeless pieces you'll display at the center of your life, of the races and memories you'll talk about for years to come. Printed to order and framed in sustainably sourced wood, their prints are designed to bring out shared love of racing into new spaces around the globe. Head over to modernracingprints.com for more in terms of getting your very own print. But it is Jonathan Goke who moves back to the front of the field, somewhat of a specialist when it comes to open wheel and ovals, really, Josh, and someone who has a wealth of experience, has been in and around, someone who I think could definitely be one of the key players come lap 247 to 250.
Oh, absolutely. He'll be a massive player here for the race win. We already see he's in the lead, so that's a great place to start off on just talking about him. How did he get there, but other than being fast? That's how you're going to get it done here. He started off super duper quick, waking his way through the field and just getting back to where he needed to be immediately.
Yeah, he is where he wants to be, and he knows that he is in this race and he's going to go through. It'll be lap 68 when they are going to get themselves back going, and an early launch then from Jonathan Goke, I think, has caught everyone napping a little bit there, especially Josh Stoltz. So let's get back to green flag running then as we go from Michigan once again. It is Brandon Hawkin making the push on the inside for second position, and he will get the move done on Josh Stoltz as this start effectively segments out as these drivers look to try and stay in range here around this beautiful, beautiful track and head towards 3 and 4 once more.
Goke with an easily set up lead there of a half a second. Brandon Hawkin has a weird moment where he got tight through 3 and 4. You're going to see a car on the inside, that Josh Stoltz. He's going to take advantage of the tight condition. Josh is going to carry the speed into the draft, 250 miles per hour into turn number 1 to follow up and get directly behind Goke, see if he can make his name out there in front of the Goke machine.
Yeah, he was certainly driving nicely at this point and now trying to really make something happen, looking on that high side. But you're going to see a little bit of that aero wash through the corners. Not much, but if you find yourself a lane up, you can certainly get that sense of, okay, not certainly going to help you really in terms of how much the car is going to be washing up through a couple of these sections. And this is what you're going to have to be alert to, because the car is going to handle differently in different conditions. This is a car that drives very differently when it's in the air of someone compared to when it's not.
Yeah, it's definitely different. Not only that, you're going to be spending more fuel being out in the lead. So it's kind of a give or take of where you want to be on track at any given time. Couple of things to note. Spencer E. Burns has, whoa, that was a very close maneuver. Spencer Burns has thrown in the white flag and has withdrawn from the race.
Yeah, no surprises there. Josh Stoltz crossing the beams on lap 70 to lap 71. He thought about the inside, went up high, now looks back low again. Jonathan Goke will note that, going loose cannon, not what I want to be dealing with at this stage. Right down low goes Mikolajczyk in third position as we take a look on board from Brandon Hawkin as he now looks to try and get into the mix once again after the tightness of his machine. He'll look up high, look to try and get a little bit of a run forward. No room at the end to make anything more than that. We'll stay in station. You can see 7th gear on the dash and the green lights showing themselves as they go through, looking to try and really charge with as much as is there and available. But this is where you're going to have to be really alert. And again, Mikolajczyk loving that low line. It's going to go down in. It's certainly going to work. But would you argue as well, by taking that low line more, that, you know, Mikolajczyk maybe has a chance to wear out his hard compound tyres a bit more than maybe other drivers?
Oh, it's, you know, you and me are on the same wavelength, Jake. I was thinking the exact same thing. He's going to be wearing those tires more. It's going to be putting more force through those tires because you're going to have to be making a tighter arc as we see them go 3 wide into turn number 3.
Power move to the inside from Stoltz, but it's Goke on the outside looking to retake then control of this race. It's where he likes to be at the moment, the front, and he will look to try and stay there. 4th position in this group is Spencer Ray, then it's Hawkin, Bordeaux and Pandicio. The top 7 away, but they're about to be caught by Stewart, Vervinkt, Swack, Williams, Reynolds, Nawrocki, Pressey, Lowry and co. They're all going to be there and all going to be in that mix. I tell you what, it's been some great racing from Tyler Williams. Remember, he was on the wrong side of the pit stop. He's managed to get himself back to the leading group.
Yeah, it's been incredible to watch these guys go back and forth and make maneuvers as we see another maneuver onto the outside for the lead. That's going to be Stoltz on the outside trying to make his way around Goke. Goke straddling that line. Now, I know I've been talking all night about don't touch that seam, but if you do it just right, it can actually help your car corner. So if you do it right and you know how to touch that seam in just the right way, I think it might just make you a little bit faster.
Yeah, you are dancing on a knife's edge, though, if you do get it slightly wrong. Goke takes the lap, but here comes the move from Spencer Ray. Power moves on through. Will try and be followed forward then in terms of that run by Paul Mikolajczyk, who won't find his way past Goke, who will now try and take that outside line and comfortably try and make that happen. A little bit of wiggling further back, though. A little concerning for Tyler Williams there, as he had a little bit of a out of turn 2, so he's got to be a little bit more cautious about the way that he goes through at this stage of the race. And everybody now is just dancing about, knowing that this group is pretty much a powder keg. One wrong move and effectively you play a game of pop-up pirate.
Oh, it's 1-1 on roof. Oh, we see the leader blink out. Goke. He's not going to have much of an issue. Comes right back in, but that's something else to be considerate of. Is we have a lot of drivers from a lot of different places around the. Wow, 3 wide, right down into the lead. Paul is able to make it in that 13 machine out into front easily.
But will he have the drive to take the lap, or will Goke take that away on the inside? I think Goke's going to steal the thunder, and does by 14 thousandths of a second. So brilliant work then as they trade forward, and we're going to be seeing that trade-off a little bit later on in this race. Drivers looking to be aggressive going down to the bottom, but maybe unable to bring the car back around again in terms of getting that back up to the top. So we see this again. Mikolajczyk struggling through the second part as drivers get great drives off the exit of the corner to get the run onto this front stretch.
It's going to be just a demonstration to see how Paul's tires handle over the long run in that 13 machine, seeing as we've seen him go low, go high, go everywhere. He's been aggressive on running that low line if he needs to, as we see a lap car going to go down low and not be a factor here. That'll be okay as they go 2x2 into turn number 3.
Yep, through the front 6, they are 2 wide as they now look to push Blake Reynolds. Part of that group at this stage, trying to get into the mix, is Robert Lowry there in the number 9. Started 24th on the grid then for today's race. Has just been quietly working up through, not really making too much of a name. This is the highest he's run all race, and he's starting to say, you know what, I want to get a little bit more involved in this one here at lap 80.
Yeah, he is getting involved. One of our biggest movers of the race thus far, Robert Lowry. We haven't talked much about him other than on the grid, but here he is throwing his name into the hat right behind Blake Reynolds, trying to make something happen here. As we see Blake's going to have a massive run, going to go right in line as we see Stoltz crosses over to go to the outside of Goke to try and lead the lap.
But he tries to make this move, but he'll be stuck on that outside and just trying to dance that fine line. Not going to get enough of a run off of the exit as it all checks up. The top line checks as the bottom line gets a little bit of help to go through. We take a look from a little bit further back then on with Brandon Hawkin, and it's very telling how he jumps back a little bit in this pack, wants to take some time in the pack, wants to understand these drivers in the front. Maybe if this is a long green flag run, wants to save a little bit of fuel. This is the place you want to get it done because you are pretty much full throttle, little light lifts through the corners. Last place you want to be is doing the donkey work at the front. It means you're burning more fuel and effectively you're burning the candle from both ends.
Yeah, this is one of our longer green flag runs, so fuel is going to be something to consider here. of just when do you want to go out and when do you want to come back in, as far as just throttle into corner. Do you lift? Dare I say lifting at a track like this, but is that something to consider?
Well, it's the sort of thing that you look at is that, yes, you want to lift big, high. Look, trouble! Goke is in the wall. That's a big hit, and a caution comes out as Jonathan Goke's race over and done with just like that. Blink, and you miss it from the top side.
Oh, man. As we see him, he's going to go toe back to pits. I think this is going to be a case of I want to go low and I want to go high, and two conflicting drivers trying to figure out a position on track. Unfortunately, Goke is the victim of this sort of incident.
Yeah, so definitely not what's wanted. We'll have another look here. One wants to go low, one wants to go high, and then ultimately you meet in the middle. That's not ideal, and troubles for Jonathan Goke. His race over and done with. I think now's the right time to take a chance to chat with Jonathan Goke. Jonathan, not the way you want your race to end here tonight, but that a case you were running really well up at the front of the field. You want to go into the middle. Looked like as well Josh wants to go into the middle, and then someone's going to be on the wrong end of it.
Yep, just a racing deal. Got a couple people driving a little bit harder than they should. I was just hoping to stay at the front, but it is what it is.
It is what it is, but, you know, talk about your solid run through the early stages of what's been going on, because you decided to take the early pit stop off the first caution. You had to work hard to get back through. There's a lot of confidence with you in this car. Do you think that that's going to show over the course of the season with the way that you were running tonight?
Absolutely. I mean, the setup was perfect. The FTF guys did an absolutely amazing job adding the ballast. Like, it wasn't flat out of the way at a lift. I mean, it's perfect set. So I can't wait for the rest of the season. I'm actually pretty excited.
Well, you're pretty excited. We're pretty excited. We're going to leave you to it to debrief in terms of what's going on. Jonathan Goke there joining us, not the way that his race wanted to end tonight.
You know, he had a great opportunity, was making some amazing moves. If anything, that just shows that he's going to be a contender long run here. Unfortunately, one of the wrong races that you want to have a lack of luck happen here with double points on the line. That's going to set him back super duper far. We do pay back to 20th here, so if he can get the car repaired, I doubt he'll be able to. But if he can get it repaired, it is worth going back out there to just try and score some points, as we pay almost all the way through 2/3 of the field.
A number of drivers, not many, deciding to stay out then here at this stage, which include Tommy Bordeaux, Robert Lowry, Rafael Ruiz, Derek Catt, amongst some of the drivers who did not decide to make a stop. So 4 there deciding they didn't want to go through. Now, we haven't really talked about the ballast, something that Jonathan Goke really talked about there, Josh. So in terms of what the ballast does, there is a weight that is in the car, which effectively makes the car a little bit heavier as it goes through. And you would think that heaviness is for stability.
Yeah, it throws a wrench into how the car drives. It's a little bit different. A lot of these drivers out here, specifically ones who have raced this car quite a bit, it makes the car just a little bit different, changes it up, gives them a little bit of a, you know, it evens the playing field just a little bit, but in a good way, and I think something that's going to be healthy and good for competition overall.
Lowry then decides to come in at the second time of asking. Comes the 2 lap cars of Shabelski, who is 30 laps down, and also the Danish driver into the pits then of Andrew Schulte, who missed the start, but is not last in this race. Is 71 laps down, though, in 32nd position as things go. So lap 86 at this moment in time. Tommy Bordeaux with control of the field, and a couple players of the game then up nearer the front who will be on differing strategy. And this is where you get these branching paths, Josh, where, you know, some people think they've got a different call and they're trying to count back their numbers slightly differently to get to the end compared to everyone else. Oh, and just to throw in a little bit of, okay, this gets interesting, there's one green-white checker in this race.
Yeah, it's going to be super duper interesting to see what happens here. This is when you wish you had a spot or a crew chief just to keep tabs on who's on what strategy so that you know who you're racing versus who you aren't. I want to call out Rafael Ruiz. He is in second right now. He started P30, so this is great running for him. He's happy here. A little bit of track position at play, but nonetheless still in second place for this restart.
still in second place and is certainly going to try and work with what he's got. We'll see how this works because you've got some very fast drivers who'll be looking to push through, the likes of Mikolajczyk, who is there, Spencer Ray, Brandon Hawkin. They're all going to want to make moves early. Tommy Bordeaux will have control of the field here, lap 87 of 250. On the 5th restart, he will jump and the green flag will go back in the air. We're racing once again here from Brooklyn, Michigan.
I want to look at these lap times as they come across the second time for those 4 that stayed out to see if there is much of a difference in their lap pace. I mean, we should be able to easily see if that is the case here. But as we're going green flag racing here, single file, a little bit of double file, but it's going to be pretty orderly compared to what we've seen. Although we do see a battle for the lead, that's Rafael Ruiz looking to make a move on Tommy Bordeaux.
Yep, certainly want to make it quickly because they've already got a second to Derek Catt in 3rd position. Want to try and get away, break through quickly. Little look to that low side. Bordeaux comfortable running on that second groove and making that work nicely coming off the exit. We look further back. There's the move. Mikolajczyk moves up then into 3rd position past Derek Catt, and here comes the Uber run from Spencer Ray. Look how much overspeed he had compared to Catt. Catt is falling pretty much in free fall, in suspense at this point.
We had something very interesting from one of the drivers. Nate Stewart said he had to warm up his tires. I don't know if he was just making a joke for a movie made on track or if he actually felt he needed to, but that should take no time on a 135-degree track temp.
No, it shouldn't, but there is a little bit of cloud cover that's just come over the circuit, so that will certainly cool the track a little bit as this group in 3rd have let the top 2 get away. So now Brandon Hawkin makes the pass then up to 3rd. It's going to be followed by Ryan Narocki, who we haven't really seen too much near the front. It's the first time we've really seen any of the traction-sponsored cars making that progress up forward, and Narocki will now move to 3rd, and they know that this group, it's going to have to motor to reach these top 2. They're 1.5 seconds down the road.
The only thing I say that these top 2 could do that would help them the most is continue to run in line with each other. Continue to try to have that gap. If they run side by side, that's going to do nothing but draw this pack behind them towards them. And those 2, they're not really racing too crazy right now as we've seen in the past, but they are side by side. This is definitely not going to help their case.
And you're talking about drivers who are starting to make some progress and start to make themselves known. What about the 19 of Matthew Brewer, one of 2 Brewers in this race, which is to say that they're not from Boston. But at least at this point, Matthew Brewer is certainly looking to try and get into the mix. The top 2, as you can see on screen, still racing side by side as they rush through 3 and 4 once again. Nice work there from Rafael Ruiz, who will take some laps led here at the line. But you're seeing people inside the top 10 that you didn't see before, who just slowly find their way up there and are just trying to position themselves at the right place at the right time.
Yeah, a couple of things to note here. Rafael Ruiz completely unattached, no team affiliation. Tommy Bordeaux directly behind him. Going to see if he is a part of an affiliation here, but not with Rafael Ruiz. So no team orders there, 2 separate teams, or in Rafael's case, no team. Something to just keep considering as we'll see if they can continue to gap out in front as they go side by side. And we see a side-by-side battle here for 3rd.
Well, they lost 1/10 of a second over that last lap because you got the likes of Brandon Hawkin looking to try and make some progress. Now, Hawkin part of his own team here, but when he's not racing in this series, his team is something rather special, Josh. It's one of the greatest teams in sim racing, and that is SRC Movano Corsa. He is a very accomplished and talented driver, is Brandon Hawkin.
Hawkins done a lot of amazing things in the realm of sim racing. Pleasure to have him here as part of the FTF1 series. But yes, absolutely, he knows how to get it done. He's done it before and continues to show that he is a quick driver. Reminder, he's the pole sitter.
And here's another reminder, and this is something I found out as him as a fact that I was very confused about. He's a Canadian who doesn't like ice hockey.
What?
Yeah, I know.
Those exist?
Apparently they do, and
wow.
Brandon Hawkin is one of them. So he'll be someone who will be looking to try and make sure that he's not skating on ice here today. Well, why not? This is a melting pot in terms of what is being done here today. Is now into 3rd, he will go past Narocki, but now that gap once again, 1.7 seconds. It goes to show you, you get a 1.5 seconds around this place. You get a second. that's it. You can check out and say goodbye, lights out. And you could argue as well at this point that it's not been the best trouble. Round goes Rafael Ruiz. He's in the wall. And just like that, we're green. He tags someone else. Caution flag comes out.
That was, I was about to comment, Jake, and say this is the first time we've seen the leaders be able to break away from the rest of the pack after a restart like that. And unfortunately, Rafael Ruiz is not able to keep it together. It looks like that those two were dancing and just caught up with each other. Actually, no, Rafael just lost it all on his own there. That's unfortunate.
Bottom groove again. I think it's going to get it this time through 3 and 4. And this is what staying out is going to do. It was always going to put a premium on those tyres. When were those tyres going to be in a position where that right rear is going to let go? He tried to save it, and he's lucky because he tags Bordeaux. But crucially, it is only Ruiz who ends up in the wrong position. You can see the rear right just off the kart. That'll be him done then for the day with that go through. But Tommy Bordeaux getting a lucky break there at that point. And you have to say, racing is about 95% skill, but you do need that 5% luck. As in comes Bordeaux, no surprises, to make the stop on 96.
I'm just trying to figure out, something appears to have happened to Blake Reynolds at some point. He had a super duper long pit stop, 513 seconds, now 10 laps down, 11 laps down. So gonna be a developing story to figure out what happened with that Alfa Romeo machine. Unfortunate for him that he's gonna be 10 laps down, but I'm gonna note he's still in 22nd position. So basically at this point, if you're still running, you're in contention for points, something that won't be a common factor throughout most of the race, or most of the season.
Well, I just looked at his lap 84. He came into the pits. I wonder if he got a tag on the penultimate incident, which gave him some repairs that he needs to do. It's a shame to see him 10 laps down as he went through. But we are going to step aside, though, for just one moment when it comes to your modernracingprince.com FTF1 Series, your season opener. That's going through here at the Michigan International Speedway. The US 500 will continue after this. Lap 99 about to start then on the 250 laps here of the US 500. Ryan Pandicio with control of the field ahead of Brandon Hawkin and Paul Mikolajczyk, who is there in third position. We are back underway for racing, and let's listen in for a lap to hear the roar of these V10 engines. Lap 100, Joshua, and now it is a case of you put roughly about just over a third of the race in the back pocket. You now start to think about, okay, some of the weeds have been shuffled about. Now you're looking at, okay, we're sifting for gold.
Yeah, you're looking here. The first third of the race is out of the way. You can kind of go ahead and reset yourself here. Take some time, figure out what you want to do. About 1 second, actually now half a second between the top 4 and 5th position, and that's completely gone by the time I finish the sentence. Spencer Ray makes his way up to join that 5th.
He does, and now all of a sudden that group gets busy at the front of the field. Brandon Hawkin now in control. Robert Lowry made the move to get to the point, but that was all of a sudden shuffled away as you get those differences in lines that start to get through. You also look in this group, you've got Matthew Zwack, who started to make some progress back through, hasn't been near the front since his first stint all the way back at lap 1 where the top 6 got away. We take a look on board on this beautiful onboard angle from Monroe. He is pretty much the local when it comes to this sort of race, and wouldn't it mean something to Matthew Zwack at a track which he knows very, very intimately to get right up there at the point.
Only been a member since 2019 on the iRacing service, but that's not as much as you would like to think. It's only 4 years, and there's a lot of drivers out here that have been on here for twice, if not 3 times as long.
Absolutely. Naroki pushing it 3 wide, dancing on that edge, taking the race lead away. But you are absolutely right. There are some drivers who have been here over 10 years easily in the sim service. I've been around this for 8 years, and I tell you what, there is a stark change and a stark difference between how many drivers who are there and continue to go forward with it as the push continues. Top 2 now looking to try and battle for it. Mikolajczyk now moving around Spencer Ray looking for the pass, and it's quite apt to see someone with the last name of Ray in yellow.
Yeah, it is. As we saw Lowry, he has an incredible run. Going to go ahead and take it onto the bottom underneath Mikolajczyk. Going to send it into turn number 3. Makes it work. Going to wrap. Use that inside seam to help him corner. He's going to lead this lap pretty assuredly. No one being able to contend with him for this lap led.
No one able to contend at all, and that then turns to Mikolajczyk, who moves to the inside, taking advantage of the various slipstreams to move on to the point at the front. It is a big look to the inside. He's trying to get draft from those down at the bottom. Now that's going to be something where the stewards might have a look at that, trying to take some draft from the lap traffic. I don't think that's fair game.
And the race control immediately comes over and says you cannot draft cars underneath the white line. So I guess it's not just, it isn't necessarily about making an advanced position. It's any racing underneath there. Something similar. We saw Kyle Busch do that during qualifying at Daytona for the Daytona 500 earlier in this year in real life. Got a penalty for doing something similar. Paul Mikolajczyk going to get told not to do that.
Yeah, and I think he also deliberately drops himself back a few positions as well. Doesn't want to get in the graces. And there's a case of, I did it by accident. Now, you were looking for an advantage. You know what you were doing. But it's a case where drivers are going to have to be alert to the rules and know that they're not in, quote unquote, an official session out there. And they are being policed out there by the FTF officials who are out there keeping a close eye on things. They are going to be making sure that this race is run and respected within the rules of the road.
Yeah, he comes over the radio, Jake Poulin, our race controller, and he says that they cannot go underneath the line to make an advantage or gain an advantage. That's pretty open to interpretation, but also not necessarily. You go down there, and if he thinks you're doing something that's faster, like, I don't know, drafting, cutting the course a little bit shorter, or passing a driver, I'd say that's a clear cut. You've gained an advantage.
Yeah, I would agree with that interpretation of the rules as well. Robert Lowry then looking around the outside with Ryan Narocki looking at this race lead, and it will be the Irishman who will take a lap. But here comes the pole as Mikolajczyk once again will make that push and decide, you know what, I've spent enough time in the middle, I want to go back to the front, and will manage so. And that will be another change of the guard back up there at the front. Larry will exchange that back, moving to the inside, and will comfortably pivot back into the race lead. 11 cars within 1 second over the line. The top 14 at the moment, going all the way back to Roger Saucier in 14th position. We haven't really talked about Saucier at the back of this group. Doing a pretty good job of just staying quiet. He's going to try and make himself known later on.
Yeah, he's been hanging out there, just avoiding incidents. What he needs to do in order to be there at the end. It's already paying off for him. Started 21st up to 14th, just at the tail end of this field. Doesn't need to make any wild moves. It's only lap 110. We're not even halfway here. Why? It's not worth it. There's so many moves to be made at the end of this race. Why take yourself out early?
Exactly. Why would you put yourself in a position like that? Strung out single file on the wrong side of the train is Lowry, who will have to try and fall back into line, it seems, with Brandon Hawkin making the move up into second position, and we'll just have to manage that. But here comes Hawkin. He doesn't want to wait around too long, as he will make the move, go to the point, and take a lap lead then at the front of the field with that pass through 3 and 4 to take lap 112 out then on this charge forward. But as they know, this is the stage where they want to be just getting in some good laps, working together and trying to make everything happen, because they're heading to the halfway stage. And you'd argue we've only just had a green flag run. We haven't really challenged these drivers, or these drivers haven't challenged themselves for a full stint on what is capable, as they will now have to deal with a bit of lap traffic. That's Derek Catt they'll have to get by.
Yeah, Derek Catt is trying to stay out of the way, but also doesn't want to give up a lap super easily. He's going to still be on there on the inside. That's going to make me a little bit nervous as he drives over the seam, slides up a little bit. Everyone giving him 1.5 miles of spacing, as they don't want to get involved with any sort of incidents with a lapped car.
No, I agree, and it's well driven between them, and they certainly worked that out quite nicely between them. With Cat on the bottom, everyone naturally moved up higher and made that progress around the outside to really make that statement known as they push on forward. You've got the likes, though, of drivers who are in the middle of this group who are looking to try and get themselves back into play. Speaking of drivers who've got themselves back into play, remember how it was Tommy Bordeaux who came down into pit? Well, he's probably got the best tyres of anyone, the best fuel of anyone, and he is right in the middle of this group in the race lead. He might be on a different strategy, but he has only one issue that he has in terms of his strategy right now here, Josh, and that's if it goes green flag, he doesn't have a drafting partner to work with when he comes down to pit.
No, he doesn't, and this is a great position just if a caution comes out. If it doesn't, then he's in a really awkward position, but you see him running higher than just about everyone else. He is continuing to put himself on the high side. This is going to, help him save fuel, because he's going to be just going a little bit longer, not going to be having to get the engine back up to whoa a little bit easier. I at least personally, I think it'll help him save fuel, but there's so much give and take there. I guess it's all just, I don't know how your run goes that run.
Well, it's something where he's probably done the numbers. Oh, a big slide coming through too there for Robert Lowry. He's going to drop a number of positions there as he gets no drive off the exit, and to the point goes Tyler Williams, only for a moment, because Paul Mikolajczyk again on the low line takes that away. Now, Tyler Williams, let's not forget, was a lap down in this race and is now racing for the race lead. And you know what? We'll just take it. But look at how it swarms behind. Narocki wanting to try and make a move now as he washes up a little bit behind.
They continue to drive over that seam. It's just inevitable that someone's going to get bitten by it. As it kind of continues to build and build the pressure within the pack. It's a keg. It'll explode inevitably, and all it's going to take is one person to push it too far, and that's easily done here.
It is easily done. We have seen it many times before where it can go wrong. If you just go over 100%, you hit 101 out there, and it can put drivers in a little bit of a bind. Look at the run the Rocky gets. Oh, this is brilliant there. He takes so much out of turn 2. Power move up into the race lead, and Mikolajczyk almost gets a tap going through 3, which puts Tyler Williams in a position. Suddenly Spencer Ray wants to get in on the act.
It's a it's a revolving door of leaders. It seems like every single lap this is going to just be a new leader. No one really gets to lay claim. We saw one time where the leaders were able to move out very far ahead and have an establishment of 2 competitive drivers, but right now it's a revolving door, a new name every single lap, and just like that, right back out in front is going to be Paul Mikolajczyk in the 13 machine.
Yeah, Mikolajczyk then back to the point at this moment in time as he goes to take lap 119. They start lap 120, back down to the bottom then, goes searching Tyler Williams, looking to try and make something happen, but now a little bit of argy-bargy there between Naroki and Lowry. This is where you're going to start understanding the rules of the road. Who's going to be a driver who wants to assert his place in the field? Who's going to be more, I would say, easier letting of positions go? You really understand who you can race with in this sort of pack at this stage of the race and who you can't race with.
Yeah, you learn everyone's characteristics, how they want to drive, how they're going to go ahead and push you. Even at this point in the race, it gives you information that you're going to be able to build up and have a database to go on later into the race of just each and every single person's willingness and committedness to either loyalty of drafting with you or willingness to dump you and go and make a move that is super selfish. I mean, it is a selfish sport.
It very much is. There's only one winner at the end of the day, so someone's going to have to go and take it. Making moves up through the field now is the 12 of Corey Vervink. He now moves himself up into the top 5 for the first time, albeit very briefly out there in the mock-up Aston Martin style design as he now goes through 3 and 4. He's certainly doing very well. I know he's weighed down by the amount of consonants in his surname, but he's certainly doing a really good job of just coming to the forefront at the right time. Power move, bang! There's the big one.
Oh no! That was just a miscue. They were looking to go 4 wide. They caught tires, and that right there is going to end the dreams of so many people. Oh, just a light top right there. I think that car will be okay, but that is so unfortunate.
Ryan Naroki, the big casualty out of that, trying to push the metric and make it happen through the middle. No communication. Tyler Williams was too late to shut the door.
Oh no, and unfortunately, it comes down to something that is just unfortunate. There's a little bit of an interpretation you need to be careful with on these tight racing of who you're racing with and where they're racing from. Tyler Williams from Australia, Ryan Naroki from Indiana, and unfortunately, a little bit of netcode is all it takes for the big one to happen here.
I would say that, yes, there's a little bit of that, but what I'd also say is that the door was always closing on the Rocky, and that with or without that, there would have still been contact. So that, in my view, is a case of, yes, you could leave a little bit more room by metric of where you live, but the key here is, well, how much room do you give? It's a power move, but look at this. Comes up the circuit, and it's as simple as that. Williams comes up the circuit. You can't afford to do that if you're going to be slow to react to that sort of move. You are playing with everybody's race at 250 miles an hour. If you decide to come off your line and move up the track at that point, Josh, to try and say, you know what, no, you can't go through in the middle.
Yeah, absolutely. And Race Control agrees 110% with you, Jake. A little bit of netcode, but it was going to happen regardless. You can't make a move like that too late. Unfortunately, nobody here has a real true. Oh, that's just unfortunate. That's. Oh, man. They were going to clear it. And, oh, man. That's unfortunate. I think he'll be able to continue to go as long as all of his tires are still on.
Yeah, that's just bottoming out over that section. That's a missed box, and we'll finally get the service. So it'll be a race out of the pit. but that will also mean that we hit the halfway stage of the race at the end of this lap. Winning the race out of the pits is Corey Vervingt, who will take a lap lead for the first time in this race at half distance after the big one happened. But we're going to step aside for just one moment. We've got a couple of bills to pay here with FTF.gg, because this is the modernracingprince.com FTF1 Series. It's the season opener, US 500. Second half of the race coming along after this. Second half of the race about to take its place. This is the all-important second half where the numbers crunch down, the strategies bring themselves together, and after the big one on the front stretch, it's a long wait by Corey Vervingt, who has control. A big kick of torque from Spencer Ray as we get ourselves back to green flag running here, starting lap 127 here of 250 out there overall. And after this, just 15 drivers now are left on the leading lap, and this now becomes a case of not who is going to win this race, but who's going to make it there. Over half of the 33 drivers who started this race, Joshua, a lap down or out.
Yeah, the old saying, Jake, to finish first, you must first finish. And right now, that's, I guess, a key to the race. We hadn't talked about keys to the race, but finishing is important nonetheless.
Oh, it absolutely is, and these drivers know it as they go through. So Spencer Ray to the point. Brandon Hawkin has stayed well out of trouble in third. It's Matthew Brewer in fourth, followed Tommy Bordeaux, Ryan Pandicio, Matthew Zwack, Hamilton Akabizi is there with Nate Stewart, Josh Stoltz, the top 10 as they last crossed the line. But at least for the moment, Spencer Ray will decide to take some laps led. But this is where they can start being calm. The battling that's too wide, just a little bit further back, as it looks like Zwack and now Akabuzi's going to start making some moves. Pandicio will be there on the inside. What a beautiful mock-up Jordan that is. The 7-Up, or if you turn the logo upside down on a 7-Up, you get the old SSX style sponsorship of DHL, I believe it is, or DLH.
Absolutely, that 7-Up machine, Jordan 191, driven by Michael Schumacher, inspired machine by Hamilton Akabuzi. We've talked about it all weekend, going out there trying to fill some big shoes there and make a splash as we see them go 2x2 through 1 and 2.
And a big splash for Brandon Hawkin, who moves back to the point, does the Canadian up into the race lead. Ray, then it's Vervingt. Tommy Bordeaux in fourth positions, had his fair share of good fortune over the course of this race. Then it's Matthew Brewer. and you're looking at just trying to bank yourself a finish. And there's a number of drivers here who are hoping that that's going to be the case. Here's another little pivot for the race lead as Spencer Ray will once again change that back on 131.
I want to call out that machine you see in the background, that traction machine, is not Ryan Naraki. That's Justin Malillo. Ryan Naraki is out of this race, completely done, but Justin Malillo working his way back up to 11th. We haven't talked about him much. He's been hanging out in the back of the pack, just minding his P's and Q's as we get through the race.
Well, that's the Malillo way of driving, isn't it? Just mind your P's and Q's and hope to find a finish come the end of the race. It's the way that he drives. It's the way that's worked for him for a very long time, and he will continue to race in that style and make it happen. There you go. He's got a smile on his face as he drives through 1 and 2. It's either that or it's a face of concentration as he grits his teeth, knowing that you just got to blink the wrong way and this car throws you somewhere.
Oh, absolutely. Justin Malillo, one of those that is calm and cautious, but that seems to get him so far. We've seen so many good finishes out of him in other FTF races, Monday night racing races, everything, you name it, and he is waving to the camera. Don't get too distracted, Justin. Anything can happen at any moment.
Oh, it absolutely can. And fortunately enough for him, does it on the straight. Right place, right time to do that sort of thing. But at least at the moment, Tommy Bordeaux starts to make some progress. He's in third. He wants second now from Spencer Ray. He's the only one down low, but pivoting back low will be Brandon Hawkin. The wash will come for Spencer Ray, and that will give Bordeaux the chance then to make that happen. He'll get a little bit of toe to go with it, and that will move him up into second position. Playing the lines to perfection then is Brandon Hawkin at the front.
Brandon Hawkin easily leading out right now. It's his game, and he's just the fiddle master with these drivers behind him. He's going to go ahead and choose which lane works for him. Can he block a maneuver? You don't want to do too much of it. It's actually against the rules here to overly block, so you just got to be careful with these open wheel machines.
Yeah, you just got to make it look like that's where you naturally were all the time, that you're not making defensive moves left and right. You've got to be sly in the way that you deal with it, as there's a big check-up in this group. They all want to hang out Brandon Hawkin at the front, and I don't blame them at this situation. Let Brandon have his laps led at the front, because he'll have to come in earlier than everyone else.
Yeah, he's going to be burning a lot of fuel up in front, but, I mean, we've said it before, it's a nice place to be. You don't have to worry about anyone losing it in front of you. So it's a give and take. We haven't seen a long enough green flag run that green flag pit cycles have been necessary yet. But with the field thinning out, inevitably, the field is going to calm down. And we're already seeing a new level of calm that we haven't seen quite yet in this lead pack. A lot of single file racing as they continue to go down the backstretch, not making crazy moves. I believe we just saw Tommy Bordeaux. He's lifting. He's not really even trying to make a move on Brandon Hawkin.
No, and that will extend his life more, because the longer he spends off of the throttle, it's less that naturally aspirated V10 engine is pumping fuel into the car. And look at this, taking advantage of it. Hamilton Akabuzi is going to start making moves. He takes 2 at turn 1. He gets past Matthew Brewer and Spencer Ray, and all of a sudden he's thinking, well, if nobody's going to want to make some moves, it's an overtake or be overtaken world.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you know no points are going to be paid out in stages, again, I don't believe we have any stages here today. They're just going to go straight to the checkered with a little cautions in between. Your points are distributed at the end of the race. Why race them? It's not worth it. I guess that's just me as we see a pass. It looks for the lead up in front.
It is. That's Tommy Bordeaux making the move then and getting it sorted. For third now, Corey Vervington, Hamilton Akabuzi. Akabuzi down to the bottom, makes that move, and he's started to get some followers there as Hamilton, one of which is Ryan Pandisio, who's deciding he wants to try that bottom line as well. He wants to start making some movement and progress and get himself back through. Hawkin dips out of line. He'll move to the inside, and he'll take another lap then to the front of this field, and you are dancing about it, almost 3 wide there for third. Verving struggling in the dirty air though, will naturally back out.
Yes, he's going to back out here. It's just not worth it at this point in time. I'm looking at Justin Malillo, and I'm thinking about him as almost the canary in the cage situation. If there are moves that are going to get too crazy, I guarantee you Justin Malillo is going to drop out. So if you see Justin starting to fall through the field, he's going to be basically saying to himself that, hey, this is getting a little too intense. Or if he starts making crazy moves, you know it's time to go forward.
What about the two quiet drivers at the back of the field, though, Joshua? Have they been playing their game very nicely? Seth Eggert and Jeffrey Brewer are two drivers that I look at in terms of this race as we get a little bit of a look then going through, trying to find the pass for position. And I think we're just about going to manage that through 3 and 4 and on to that section of road. Lovely done. But those two drivers are the ones that I look at and go, well, Seth Eggert, Jeffrey Brewer, they've done nothing in this race. And why should they? They've got 110 laps to figure this out, and they've already whittled their way through half the field to get themselves to 13th and 14th. There's still more to come from this race.
Oh, absolutely. And they've seen that the wrecks have just continued to take their competition out of competition. So as long as you stay out of the wrecks, you're going to naturally start to float towards the top. Keeping a clean car is first and foremost the most important thing in order to get to the end. And I think these drivers are, they know how to bring a clean car home. They're not going to put themselves in a situation to make an aggressive move that's going to wow everybody, but they're going to get the car at home, and I think that's the biggest move.
The big key is that of these drivers, the next runner is 8 laps down, and that is Mikolajczyk at this moment in time. So 8 laps down has a lot to work for at this moment in time. We've had a graveyard of retirees so far from the Michigan International Speedway. It's been fast, it's been ferocious, it's been one of those races, and looking again to make some big moves. Number 99, Josh Stoltz, is really starting to put the pressure down, looking to make the move on Hamilton Akabuzi. He's not going to have any draft to work with. Look how strong the draft is. It's a full car length as they go through into 3 and 4. That's what it costs to be hung out on the low line.
It really does. That draft just pulls you. It's so darn quick. We saw in single car speeds yesterday of peaking at about 241, 242 into turn 1 right here. Right now, some of these cars are hitting 250 going into turn number 1. So 10 miles per hour faster already. Easily a second faster per lap.
A second faster per lap. That tells you everything you need to know. On board with Matthew Zwack in this field at the moment. 11th position has Justin Malillo there on the inside. We'll be looking to try and get by. Taking the draft then from Nate Stewart, who's been very quiet. A little bit of too wide in front as once again the move for third. Pandicio this time is going to lose out then to Josh Stoltz as now again can't quite get that overlap sorted, and Pandicio will once again drive forward, take exactly what is wanted. And every time that you find yourself in the wrong position and hung out to dry and you don't have the tow, that is, again, more fuel you're burning. So this is a dangerous game here by Josh Stoltz. He's got to get the moves done a little bit quicker. He can't afford to be stuck on the outside. And again, he will make the power push. He is slowly gaining those places, but it's, again, off the exits where he's burning the fuel. He's burning the candle to make that happen.
Jake, I'm not sure how familiar you are with NASCAR-style drafting on the long tracks, but one of the things you'll start to notice about midway through the race is a lot of cars will sometimes go to the outside and hang in line just to start churning laps off. And for some reason, I just feel in the atmosphere of this race, we've reached that point where people aren't going to be pushing too hard and just going to be trying to save fuel. I think we're leading ourselves very easily to potentially the first green flag pit stop of the race.
I think we are. Nate Stewart's made a good move. He's up to third. They're almost 3 wide behind with Vervinkt and Pandicio, and then Matthew Zwack starts to go through. Josh Stoltz wants to get aggressive, takes the race lead away. So that was his power play, get to the front. Now, one of the reasons why you'd want to get to the front in a field like this, Josh, is track position coming into the pits under a green flag stop.
Yeah, it really is a good position to be in, but how much have you practiced it? You're not able to gauge with a car in front of you if you're coming in too fast. The leader is very often the first person to get nabbed for speeding on pit road, something you got to be very careful of, and especially under green flag conditions.
Matthew Zwack now starts to make progress, moves up to fourth, and he's going to start thinking about where he wants to go. He lifts out of it as they're 2 wide, 2 deep at the front of this group. As we hit lap 149, 150 will follow immediately afterwards, which will leave us with 101 laps left to go, and enough for a Dalmatian each as they now start to go forward. Now here comes the chance then, once more. Stoltz then on that low line, high line by Brandon Hawkin. And who is going to just be the delicate driver who is playing this game to perfection. This is where you've ridden out the cautions. This is where strategy starts to come into play. Pandicio now drops. He's going for a power move. Look at how he gained.
Oh my goodness, that is incredible. And as soon as I said, hey, they're all kind of hanging out, it seems like that's completely been thrown to the walls. We see that Alfa Romeo machine almost slide down in front. No, sorry, the Whelen machine slide down in front, as we see a massive move by Matthew Zwack. Slides up a slider, almost like a dirt track.
God, I tell you what, that was almost prettier than a Shohei Ohtani sweeper, that move. That was beautifully done in terms of putting that together. But here's Pandicio now to the bottom, and he has a wiggle through the middle of the corner. He just about saves it together, and that's what keeps them too wide, with Matthew Zwack for the first time here in home county making that happen. Home state making it happen, as there goes through Josh Stoltz, threading the needle, and now we're getting dangerous. It's 3 wide territory.
Oh, this is extraordinarily dangerous. The temperature is starting to kind of heat up. The moves are being made are just a little bit lower percentage than they were just a few laps ago. This is where we see many drivers make mistakes. Something tells me that they know that a green flag pit stop's coming up soon, and they want to get that track position now.
Yeah, you can sense just every time you look around, you blink and there's a car in front of you, you blink, you've passed 3 cars behind you, and then you're starting to look around and go, where do you want to be? And this is where that position becomes important. A little feign from about 8th or 9th in the group there from around Mikolajczyk, the lap traffic, who's in the middle of all of this, mind you, 8 laps down. It's going to be putting a spanner in the works, so it's going to have to be a little bit alert as Nate Stewart decides that he wants to get the pass done on Zwack. He'll do so. He'll want to make a move for the race lead. Now try and make this one happen, and he will move that one through comfortably, getting that sorted. Nate Stewart in the 4, his favourite number, will now find himself now at the point for a moment.
There's a lot of moon car drivers in here that definitely have made moves and have gotten used to making moves that are a little bit more intense than most drivers are aware of. We'll see if that's going to affect things here as they go into turns 1 and 2 with side-by-side for the lead with Zwack on the bottom. Oh my goodness gracious. Nate Stewart all the way down, making it 3 wide.
Oh, he started to get his elbows out, and well, I don't blame him at this stage. This is one of those cases where you're trying to get yourself that position that you want, and these drivers are proving that this is going to be a dance that they go through. And because there are less drivers, you have more liberty to go out there and extend that challenge out there. They're really driving well. Corey Vervink then inside the top 5 started to make some moves back through, but Zwack makes it 3 wide on the bottom with Stoltz and Stewart above him as he now takes that to the inside. He gets it sorted. He takes the race lead once again. Brilliant stuff here at Michigan.
Oh my goodness, they just can't figure it out. Oh my God, moves that are being made that are just terrifying me, leaving me on the edge of my seat. I am waiting for the wrong move to be made at the wrong time. And I think I just don't know when it's going to happen, but it feels like it's going to happen soon.
There was tyre tap between Vervink and Stoltz heading onto the front stretch. So a bullet there, 1 of the 9 lives of the category. Vervink then lost as there goes Stoltz into lead. Now Stoltz has made contact with at least 2 drivers now here today, one of which was Jonathan Goke, let's not forget.
Yeah, he did make contact with him and got a second life, but he is pushing his luck here, and I think it's easily said that people around him are probably pretty wary of driving around just because they saw what's already happened when he's raced other people.
Yeah, and that reputation will stay for the season. Mark your words about it. Nate Stewart on the high line, trying to make something happen here. Dancing now, looking for it off the exit of the banking. And this is where you get that big difference maker. And why the high line's there, very good, as 3 wide is made. Zwack splitting the middle and taking the race lead away. That high line, yes, it's more distance in terms of how much you run during the race here, Josh, but the advantage that you get coming off the exit of the corner is gravity.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. You go a little bit down, it pushes you, you move forward. Your engine is continually wound up. It's much, much easier to get out of that hole that corner will put you into. It's just a good place to be.
Absolutely. High side certainly is. Home for many out there as Matthew Zwack takes the race lead, and concerning is the fact that Mikolajczyk has moved up to third. Now, this is where it gets interesting here for Mikolajczyk. He's 8 laps down. He's banking here on about 8 cautions, and he wants to get through on these 2 in front because that gives him an extra lap.
It does. And one of the things that he can do is not necessarily cause a caution, but influence one. He is going to go out there, he's going to be racing hard, and that's going to bring up the temperature in the pack. He's doing this only so that he's hoping that somebody makes a mistake, and that'll help him by giving him a lap back if he can get it.
Given the leaders half a second, that much we certainly can say. So as Mikolajczyk really falls back in the group, I think he realises that my strategy doesn't quite work, so he'll fall a little bit further back in that. But everyone now just finding that state of calm as they will now cross the stripe and they will have 90 laps to go. We start lap 161 of 250, and you've got to be looking at the fuel gauge right around now. This has been a beautiful green flag run. We haven't seen too much go wrong over the course of this stint, and it's been a lovely stint since about the halfway stage of the race. It's been just some nice back and forth style battling where some drivers have been up near the front, other drivers have fallen further back. As you can see, one car there, one of the lap cars diving into the pits. I think that's that's Brian Shabelski into the pits. 39 laps down, might be able to get a top 20 out of this. Even some more. Top 15 could still be possible for him.
That's scoring points. That's basically the equivalent of a 10th place finish in a feature race anywhere else. So something to consider there, that's a good day nonetheless, going out there 35 laps down, but still getting points on the board.
Points at the end of the day, in the words of the late Bruce Forsyth, mean prizes. And I'm sure that a lot of drivers will want some prizes here. And that big prize, of course, being victory as Zwack and Stoltz look to exchange positions. And they will do so as long as they have life in the tyres and fuel in the tank to try and get themselves moving through this. Stewart in third, Vervinkt in fourth, and then you got Spencer Ray in fifth. You got the team aspect as well, third and fifth in this race at the moment. Those two, if they can get coupled up and coordinated together late on in the race, they could be a deadly force, both Ray and Stewart.
Yeah, same with Pandicio and Hawken, teammates there as well. Who's that on the bottom? Justin Melillo. Oh, I guess it's time to go forward. He has lit up the fire, put on the afterburners, and is moving his way towards the front of the pack. It's time for Justin Melillo to go towards the front.
You expect sometimes that a driver has a number in their head. I'm going to be patient until X number, and then I'm going to start going. And I think that's what Melillo's got at this stage. I've been patient long enough. I'm going to start making some moves.
Yeah, he is going so quick. He's almost able to go faster than these cars on the outside without a draft. I think that tells me right now that inside line, while it eats your tires a little bit quicker, is a lot faster. And I think we saw Justin Melillo saving his tires for the longest time. And it looks like the leader has just announced that he's going to be pitting in this time by.
Yeah, drops down, and look at that, very early to make that call and decision is Josh Stoltz. He's going at about 320 kilometers an hour, and he's got to get that slowed and G'd on up to about 90 as he goes through onto the lane, and the first green flag stop. Now, that's no surprise because Josh Stoltz spent a lot of time trying to be aggressive and getting through. 85 laps to go. That indicates he managed to do 40 laps on a tank of fuel, which indicates we are in a 2-stop window. He'll need to save about 5 laps of fuel to get him home on a 2-stop.
It's curious to see how long these other drivers can stay out there. We saw Stoltz. He was out in front for so long. He was burning fuel like crazy. As Cole Freilich, another driver, comes down pit road. Josh Stoltz leaves it just now. As we see these drivers, it's clearly indicated that Stoltz is burning more fuel, but how much more fuel we'll see as these other drivers start to make their green flag pit stops.
2 laps more than he needs to. That much I can definitely say. As now Zwack to the point. Who wants to dive down in onto the pits? Nate Stewart's down there low as well as they start trying to figure out where do you want to be. The nerves and anticipation. You got the 2 teammates down there on the bottom of Ray and Stewart. It is Spencer Ray who's first. Now looking to try and take the race lead, and does so, and it might be 1 and 2, and it will be as they come off the exit of the corner. This is some good stuff right now as they start to settle in. Lap 168.
Things to note, Derek Cat got caught up in an incident, was able to tow it and not cause it.
Bye-bye!
Oh no, a big one into turn 3 and 4, and that's going to take up our pole sitter and more.
Pandicio, Tommy Bordeaux's run out of luck. Mikolajczyk's caught up in it. Brandon Hawkin, the big casualty out of it. A caution comes out right on the pit window, and it is that nervousness that came through that takes another 3 or 4 big players of the game out of contention.
Right now, I'm looking at our pole sitter, Brandon Hawkin. He's got a meatball, and he's clearly got something wrong with his car. Both of his tires turned towards the infield.
That's no good, but you can see right now they are stacking up to file, and when they do that, you get nervous, and that's when you start sensing when one driver's already come in. Well, we want to pit. Well, we don't want to pit. We want to get track position. Everyone's going to be feisty for it. As Nate Stewart moved to that outside, right on the limit of grip, he gets right up on the high groove, and we've been talking about it again. He gets the wrong side of it, and everyone tries to avoid it. They just run out of road. Tommy Bordeaux, he's so unlucky, he just clips the front.
Oh, man. You know, I want to say that was a seam, but it just looked like he got loose. There was no seam at play there. Somehow Nate Stewart gets through without any sort of meatball flag. Fortunate for himself, but the rest of the field paying the price for a simple mistake.
And look, when you're going at 350 kilometers an hour, over 230 miles an hour into a corner, effectively, when you see someone go sideways in front of you, you just pray that it just folds out around you and that there's no dramas at all. Everyone we expect then to come down into the pits then to make a stop and get themselves back into play. Josh Stoltz will have to rejoin the back of the field. He most likely will get a wave around the field to get himself back into position, but it is Spencer Ray who will have control of the field. Corey Vervinkt will move up to second. Nate Stewart, out of all of that, didn't get any damage, so is back out there in third. A big lifesaver for Nate Stewart.
Still has to serve a drive-through penalty. The race control has determined that it was his fault that the caution came out, and he's arguing it, but I mean, if he wouldn't have gotten loose, I don't think that caution would have happened.
No, I certainly agree with that. If you weren't loose, you know, those are the breaks. You got away with it. Be fortunate you still got a race. Unfortunately, you're going to have to take a trip down the lane, so that would promote Justin Melillo up then into a position with Matthew Zwack and Hamilton Akabuzi jumping. We haven't really seen too much go wrong. And again, those drivers at the back who had just dropped a little bit of time out there, so the likes there of Saucier and Eggert and Jeffrey Brewer, they're in a really good position right now. They're doing a really good job of things with 81, which will soon be 80 laps to go. More drivers take in. It looks like Zwack's going to get more service to dive down in, top that up, as well as the many laps down Schulte, who is 71 laps down off the lead.
Yeah, it is. Oh my goodness. This field is thinning out so quick. It is terrifying to see. I mean, we still have double-digit numbers of laps left, and we're almost under double digits of drivers remaining. So there's a lot of points up for grabs. Remember, the leader of this race, when they cross the checkered flag, will be getting 50 points to their name, a massive boost to any season.
Well, this is really crucial. This is really important for all these drivers that they find themselves a finish. We talk about 50 points. There's a lot you can get out of 50 points and try and get yourself into play. So this is where you're just going to have to be very alert to what you have to deal with. Ray, Vervinkt, Melillo, Akabuzi, and Matthew Brewer, your top 5 at the moment. In terms of drivers who are on the leading lap, I count 11 at this stage. Just the 11 to try and get themselves through and into position for what is an all-important run in this race. They will cross the line. They will have 79 laps to go to figure this out. It's a one-stop race from here. They will have to pit once. The question will be, will they have to pit under green flag conditions, or will there be another caution to put a twist in this tail? That was the longest green flag run that they had all race long, but they know that this race is far from over. Spencer Ray leads them off back to green flag running here in Michigan.
A little bit of stack up towards the tail end of the field, but they get it sorted already side by side, crossing the line. single file into turn 1.
Easy as you like then. Ray from Vervink from Melillo. Akabuzi does well. And then there's a gap to Matthew Brewer and Roger Saucier. Those two drivers then going through. And it looks like a gap already forms in the top 4, getting themselves the 0.8 of a second margin at this point. Akabuzi will know and understand this and know that they're going to have to brake quickly and get away. You always want a gap off these restarts, and there goes the penalty. Hand out window, says Nate Stewart, saying, I'm coming in. Very difficult to put your hand out the window because this is one of the most beautifully designed pieces of machinery, and part of which is the fact that you got the screen, and if you put your hand out the window, it'll be out the window, so to speak, ASAMP, as Akabuzi takes his first lap at the front of the field.
Nate Stewart leaves pit road. It's going to make his way up to speed. Up here, it's going to be very crucial that he gets a good up to speed and out lap so that he doesn't go a lap down. He's going to be fighting really hard, and I think we're going to see him going to be just as aggressive as ever before, as the field will likely catch him. Maybe, or maybe not, depending on how the field is going to be acting behind him.
Well, it's going to be close, but I think he's got away with it, so he'll get himself going, but he'll be on his own compared to everyone else, and that is the difference maker. Closing to the group now is Matthew Brewer and Roger Saucier. 6 then at the front of this group. Zwack has lost contact with Jeffrey Brewer at this point, but now to the point, Spencer Ray comes back through with Vervinkt in tow, with as well Spencer Ray, who has tried to get into the mix, and it's a big move from Corey Vervinkt. He very nearly had himself tripping over the front wing there of Hamilton Akabuzi, who again goes around the outside, looks to try and push hard.
Single file throughout the field. They're slowly making their way, and Hamilton Akabuzi not content to stay in line. He moves out into the lead, into turn number 1, passing Spencer Ray on the outside. Single file once again as they exit the corner, quickly catching up to Nate Stewart. Now nearly less than a second and a half between Nate Stewart and the leaders of the field. How is he going to handle this, getting caught up by the lead pack?
Well, that's going to be trouble, and trouble with a capital T, because it will mean that Stewart will put himself a lap down, and that's the last place he wants to be in this sort of race. Off the back, Stoltz got caught on the wrong side of things with Seth Eggert, so he's not on the group, but Zwack and Jeffrey Brewer have managed to get onto the back of this. So this is key, and this is a fight now for someone like Nate Stewart, but he finds himself on the outside. Nothing he can do about it. He'll drop the lap, and he'll have to work hard on the back of this group to get back into contention. He's hoping for some dramas late.
He's hoping for one more caution. At the moment, he's really the only car that's going to be one lap down. Not really a factor. The next car any laps down is Tommy Bordeaux, which is 7, and he's not even out on track. So this is pretty much just himself, and I just making sure that he doesn't get caught up in an incident and can get the wave around next time around.
I tell you what, Melillo struggling to get by Nate Stewart is giving the top 3 an excuse to get away, and that could be something to keep in mind. 3 wide through the corner. Thank you very much, as Matthew Brewer and Matthew Zwack, the two Matthews, deciding that they want to get themselves through. Only one of them, though, decidedly finds the pass at that stage. But Spencer Ray, with control of this field, will now look to try and just chalk off the laps. You count them one at a time. Akabuzi is going to work with him at this stage, and it's important to have that group cohesiveness and coordination at the front to keep drivers like Josh Stoltz out of contention.
And it's a good day to have a last name of Brewer. Both of the drivers who share that name are still out on track in the top 10 and in contention to win this race. Something to see if those two Brewers are able to make it to the end of the race together.
Oh, they're cooking up a storm. That much we can certainly say, with the way that they've been driving. Just a slow roast, so to speak, there. A pork belly, the way they've been driving through this race. And we'll see that culinary success come to fruition later on in this race as they will cross the line. It will be 70 laps to go here in this US 500 as the move for third comes through. Melillo making the pass and will be joined for the first time by Matthew Brewer, who's starting to show his hand and say, I want to be part of this. I want to get involved.
This is going to be an incredible move here as Melillo is going to start to fall back. not aided by any sort of tow or draft. He's not going to be able to go very far. Sticks in the second lane. That's going to allow him to go ahead and catch that draft again as we exit off of corner exit. Is he going to make a move here on Brewer? He will. He's going to follow right behind the Corey Vivek machine, go 3 wide. Justin Malillo wants to take the lead of this race.
He wants the power play. He wants to be up at the front, and he's decided that he'll try and go around Corey Vervinkt to make that happen, and Vervinkt will have to fall back into line as Justin Malillo will take his first lap lead in this race on lap 182, heading to 183, unless Vervinkt has anything to say about it, which he won't at this point. These drivers know they've all got to play the game, and they've all got to play this game well as they now enter turn 1. It's 8 at the front, 2 behind, trying to stay with in a race which is down to just 11 runners right now within 1 lap. Still got Sebeski out there, Tommy Bordeaux about to get back out and going again in this race, but still Malillo and Vervinkt at the front. And you just start looking at those names about 5th, 6th, 7th, who haven't really done anything. When does Roger Saucier decide to make a move if he can hold on to the group? When does Jeffrey Brewer decide he wants to start moving? These are the questions now you start asking, and they become a lot more pointed with less people in the lead.
Yeah, those questions are really kind of easy, I think, for them to make, because they just don't want to lose this lead pack. You don't know when the next caution is going to come out, or even if it's going to come out. This pack is so much smaller than what we started with. We were, in the beginning, we had 33 cars, believe it or not. Now 1/3 the size of the field running for contention to win this race. And we had 3 different packs in the beginning of this race. Now there's 1 pack, and that pack is the lead pack. Anyone else out on track is either down or has damage. You don't want to be racing with them. You don't want to get stuck falling from behind, because you never know if you're going to get an opportunity to be competing once again.
No, you never know. Nate Stewart started to make some moves back through. Now, this is important here with Spencer Ray leading the field now. He could help his teammate get back to the lead lap. They want double the trouble to be out there with an opportunity and make it happen. But Vervinkt, with a big move, a big slide through 1 and 2, decides, you know what? I'm going to want to make that my position, but you compromise the exit, and as such, the swings and roundabouts of racing, Spencer Ray will now take a turn at the inside and will very much take control of that race lead back once again.
A little side-by-side action between Akabuzi as they go 3 wide for the lead. Well, not necessarily actually 3 wide for the lead, 2 wide for the lead, with Nate Stewart trying to split the middle and get his lap back.
Yeah, an important lap back. Nate Stewart's got to be coy about the way he does it, because he can't necessarily interfere with those drivers at the front. He does have every license to get his lap back as we go on board with him, piloting through 3 and 4, and he knows at this stage he doesn't want to be in the wrong place at the wrong time like he has been previously. He's going to work hard to try and get this back. He's got Malillo helping him out, and he's going to make a big push then to the inside to get that lap back. And as it stands, he's back on the lead lap, only for a brief moment, because Corey Vervinkt might have something to say about it at this stage if he wants to go through, or alternatively if he wants to save. But no, he wants to make some moves.
Right now, as it stands, Josh Stoltz and Seth Eggert have lost the lead draft. So right now, Nate is more or less racing those 2 drivers if they go a lap down. Not something to be considerate of at the moment, since they've got each other to keep each other up to pace, but something just to be considerate of long term, as Nate may need to be racing them for the lucky dog wave around position.
Might have to, but that depends on how far they fall back. It's almost 6 seconds right now for the likes of Josh Stoltz and Seth Eggert, the work that they have to do in terms of pulling back this group. Malillo now making the push low on the inside will inherit then the race lead and put the lap back on Nate Stewart briefly at this point. This is a delicate dance at this stage with 61 laps to go. Stewart's got his race to deal with, and it's completely separate but intertwined with what's happening at the front, and that's what makes it fascinating in this lead battle.
Completely different motives to be out in front of the pack between Stewart and the rest of the field. Him wanting to get back on his lead lap, the other one's wanting to lead laps. I am absolutely, completely blown away by Justin Melillo right now. He's always been a conservative driver, but he feels that the pack is thin enough now to go out there and continue to race for the lead. Good on Justin Melillo making a big splash here on the first showing of the FTF1 Series.
He's making a big splash. He's going to look to try and make some even more important moves out there overall, as he will now take another little look on Corey Vervinkt and move himself back again onto the leading lap. But you've got sitting there Matthew Brewer, who hasn't really shown any intentions of taking towards the race lead. Akabuzi, I think, is waiting for time. And this is the key. They're not going to make the moves happen with 60 laps to go. They're going to start thinking about, okay, where do you want to start pushing it? And you're always thinking for a number of when is the right time to strike and when is the right time to be at the front or not. How close to the wall do you want to get?
That was really close between Stewart and Melillo off of corner exit. Able to keep it separated from each other as they're going to catch up to the Brandon Hawkins and Tommy Bordeaux machine. Not going to be a factor. Those two are on two separate laps, not racing each other, but they're going to get out of the way. Those two drivers, one of which was a front row starter pole sitter.
Look, those two drivers right now are, 12th and 13th positions right now. Those are still really good points, and it's not a case when you look at a championship like this, Joshua, when you consider that it's all facets. You've got road, you've got ovals, you've got everything in between. But the one thing that I think stands out more than anything else, a championship is not won by how many victories you have, it's won by what your worst results are.
Absolutely, and if you look at that comparative to a feature race format, that's about the equivalent of a 4th and 5th place finish. Or if it's a single race format, just right around a 5th and 6th place finish. So it's a really good result to be in. That's 12 points and 10 points to each of them. That's why you see so many drivers willing to sit out on meatball flag to get some repairs and go back out on track to just try and make up as many spots as possible.
Corey Vervinkt in second position. They'll have Nate Stewart there just in front, trying to get that place back. Corey Vervinkt, once upon a time, won a race against one of his employees to McDonald's and back in a sim race once upon a time. And he'll be using that experience to say, I want to be at the front and go and make something happen. So he's doing a really good job. He's now back at the front, and it's this sort of trading that you get. I haven't seen this much trading since a day at the stock exchange.
Yeah, this is non-stop day trading here at the track, a round table of leaders. No one quite able to make a decision here, but one thing that's interesting is every time that Nate Stewart goes out into the lead, it's not technically classified as a lead change. So he's going to go out there, not lead laps, just choose whether or not he's one lap down or on the lead lap.
Oh, dicing about there. Melillo was thinking about the low line, but Nate Stewart just had enough wherewithal to get to that point and gets there once again. The change for the lead on as Melillo now looks for a move, but choosing who gets an advantage there. Vervinkt on the outside certainly likes to make that move happen, and these drivers are all banking on it. Now, the question is, those drivers behind who are sat there, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th, how much fuel are they saving? Because it's not going to be a case of they're saving fuel to get an extra stop. They're saving fuel to shave seconds.
Yeah, if we're going to have a green flag pit stop here, every millisecond counts on pit road. Getting a good pit road entry is going to be crucial for a good pit road experience. You're going to want to go on there, be right on the edge of the pit road speed limit. Some of these drivers will opt to not run a pit road speed limiter and choose to try and manage their pit road speed themselves, because they know that that can be pushed for just a little bit more than what the speed limiter will allow.
Yeah, that is very true. They've been racing out here for over 2 hours worth of time at this point. They've really been pushing the margins on what has been some very important running. 6 cautions at least we have seen so far in this race. And Justin Melillo, who started the day in 8th place, has the lead. Corey Vervinkt started on the penultimate row overall, finds himself now making the pass to take himself to the race lead. But this is some brilliant dancing between them, and Melillo is starting to think about, well, what do I want? Where do I want to be? And how important are these moves that I'm trying to make? This could come down to who wants it more, who wants to be more aggressive. This could also come down to who's played the strategy card to perfection.
Yeah, it's all about strategy, and if this continues to go at the rate that we think it might, there's a strong possibility that there is going to be a green flag pit cycle to end this race out. Everyone's still needing to make one more stop before they get to the end of the race. Approaching 50 laps to go. We're almost 80% through the race.
We are almost there, and we're almost 75% to where some drivers were thinking about their pit stop. 40 laps we saw Josh Stoltz take, and Stoltz has pretty much kept the gap stable now at this point in terms of the way that he's been going about it. That gap has stayed relatively the same, 31-1 last time, maybe dropped a couple tenths, but it's not too bad. They're still in range if there's a caution to get themselves back into play in this one. But again, Vervinkt on that inside line, wanting to trade back to the point then for that race lead, and will just about do so. Fight off the exit, traffic on the exit as they all look to try and dance about. They'll stay too wide, and this is where it gets a little dicey. They start trying to figure out, well, what do we want? Find something that's comfortable, and Vervinkt is managing that at the moment, just trying to channel everything he can, try and control this race from the front. It's the easiest place to control a race from.
Justin Miller looks to go down low, makes his decision. He wants to run the second groove through 3 and 4 and easily makes a pass for the lead here. Will it stand by the line? We'll see. It looks like it might, unless Vervinkt can have a good run off of corner exit here. Justin Melillo painted at the top of the board for lap 202. That's going to close and bring us to lap 203 with 48 laps to go.
Have you seen the track temperature in terms of British units? It's 63 degrees track. That is a sweltering 145 Fahrenheit at this moment. It is sweltering.
Yeah, you could cook an egg on that surface right now. And I mean, after this race, I might go out there and do that because I'm getting a little bit hungry up here. They are hauling so much speed into these corners here, and those tires got to be asking for a break at any moment. Who will have grip, who won't? That's going to be what'll determine who can make speed here.
The tyres are tapping out very much the same way that Logan Paul should have done, as he was put to sleep by Nate Diaz earlier on in the week. So I think at this point, you certainly notice that these drivers want to try and get themselves into the right place, but they can't wait just yet. They've still got to hold on a little bit longer, and these drivers are getting there, and they are getting runs. I just saw there Matthew Brewer get a very nice run. He had a shot to make the pass on Spencer A. He's lifting out of it. They're lifting and coasting. They want the drivers at the front to make the first pit stops because they're out there at the front and they're burning all the fuel, and when they get the chance to go to the front, they want to jump them on an overcut strategy by having less fuel to put into the car.
That's a great point. They can go in there, get a little less fuel into the car. That's a definite strategy that they can make. We'll see if anyone opts to go down that route and do that. There are some drivers out there, I notably think of Corey Vervinkt and Justin Melillo, that have been burning fuel more, that don't really have that option. These guys in the back who've been saving that fuel, this could be very easily turned into something that inverts the whole field on who can stay out the longest.
Well, here's the thing. Someone has to lead the group. There has to be a leader of a pack like this, and that's where someone's going to have to play a disadvantage. The only solace that I think that Vervinkt and Melillo have is that they've been very good at changing who's been at the front, so they're not going to be as damaged in that regard, because they've also had help from the lap down Nate Stewart, who's decided, you know what, you don't want to help those drivers anymore. You're not going to get away. We're not getting a caution, so stay in third position. Help me out, says Spencer Ray.
Absolutely. You know, my mind immediately thinks is, why don't we send Nate Stewart out in front? Let him have his lead lap and let him burn all the fuel. But it seems that a little bit of driver greed is getting in between that and a potential win-win for everyone out on track. 43 laps to go. We start lap 208 of 250, and this is where it is starting to get all the more interesting. We effectively, over the course of 50 laps, have hit the final stage of our Shakespearean play at this moment in time. Josh Stoltz is coming in this lap. So that's the first indicator. Once again, Stoltz has had a lighter fuel tank than everybody else this race. He dives into the pits from 9th place. And he was also leading that pack with Seth Eggert. Now, he lost the draft, so he might as well have been a leader out in clean air, pushing more air and burning more fuel. Now, Seth Eggert is out, left to dry. No draft. That's a bad position to be in. If I'm Seth, I say, you know what? I should come down and pit right now.
Yeah, I think that's a good strategy. That's a good idea. And I'm sure that will be worked with in terms of how you want to do it. Vervink once again going through. But you also notice that dropping a little bit further back through that group now is Nate Stewart, staying out of the way of the group. So he's dropped back a couple places over the last lap or so. Has decided, you know what, Spencer Ray wants that track position. I'm going to get out of the way of the entirety of the group because we're hitting that pitting cycle and we're going to want to come in very, very soon. Vervink again down on that low side. Nobody at the main group deciding they want to go through, but now we're racing.
Yeah, it seems side by side right now. Josh Stoltz, I think he got a black flag on pit road. That's gonna pretty much take him out of contention to win the race at this point. I don't think you're gonna have enough cautions to be able to get back from 2 laps down. He is 1 lap down at the moment, and now behind Nate Stewart, so not in contention for the wave around.
Any time from here is good for a pit stop. Who blinks first around this Michigan International Speedway? Traffic on the exit will stay to the apron, but everybody now is just being patient. You got the 2 Brewers who are at the back of this group. Matthew Zwack is there. Hamilton Akabuzi. Justin Melillo starting to fall back now. Roger Saucier is up to 3rd. Where has he come from? He's been at the back the entirety of this race, and suddenly he goes up to 3rd. He wants some track position.
Yeah, we saw it last time with Justin Melillo. Minding your P's and Q's does something absolutely incredible for your tires. You're able to make that 2nd lane work when everyone else is barely able to keep in the 3rd groove. This is going to give him the ability to just be lights out in speed comparative to the rest of the field. Roger Saucier has chosen to go ahead and light up the afterburner and try to move towards the front of the field.
But he's down on that low line, which is not working because Melillo now gets the run. Vervink being hung out to dry at the front. 3 wide. They go here in towards turn number 2. And we're starting to get drivers thinking about where they want to go. In comes Corey Vervink. He'll be joined by Spencer Ray. So he gets a drafting partner, but how aggressive was Vervink on the pit limiter there going through? It looks like the man from Club New England has got away with it as he will go and make his stop. Crucial for the strategy how late he was on the brakes.
This will be, I think, our only time we will see a full green flag cycle go through. This is our strongest possibility of it happening unless somebody makes a mistake to bring out the caution. I just don't think it's going to happen. Seth Egger comes down pit road. Justin Melillo is going to be coming down pit road. Matthew Brewer comes down pit road, joined by Jeffrey Brewer, the Brewer brothers on pit road.
The Brewers are both in, and that brings Melillo in too. Ray and Vervink get out of the pits, and I tell you what, Corey Vervink's got a mile on Spencer Ray, which is trouble for Spencer Ray and how he wants to run this race. He might lose contact. It is Akabuzi and Zwack. Zwack making the move now to the point then in this race. Who has been saving fuel the best? It looks like Nate Stewart now is going to dive into the pits, but 3 still out there, Saucier, Akabuzi and Zwack. But crucially, Roger Saucier is losing contact with the top 2. This is big in terms of Saucier's race.
Yeah, at the moment, Saucier is about a 0.75 interval, so not completely out of contention, but quickly getting further and further back. Not a position he wants to be in, and is continuing to stay out of the draft. He's still able to get up to about 243 on the backstretch, but losing touch with the leaders, something that he doesn't want to do. We'll see if he's going to choose to pit right here and is going to be joined by Hamilton Akabuzi.
Akabuzi in, Saucier in, but Zwack is the one who goes the longest. Melillo currently has the lead of all those who pitted. Vervink trying to stay with him. And then in 3rd position, it's Spencer Ray, leading Jeffrey Brewer, leaving Matthew Brewer at this point. Zwack decides, I'm going to come in and make a stop, and that is with Zabelski, who thought about going low, but at the last minute jumps high after that on the radio. So that's big for Matthew Zwack in terms of what he needs on the stint. Out of the pits then, where has everybody funneled out? So Stolzenegger are back together again. Crucially, though, it's going to be about this exit. Saucier's going to be behind. Akabuzi's there. Zwack is in. So now look at Akabuzi as he goes through with Melillo. Where's he going to come out in comparison?
Yeah, this is an incredible run here as we see right there. Akabuzi is going to come out just a little bit ahead. Is that going to be enough to keep him out of... Yeah, that's going to be very quick that he's going to be able to catch up to him, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be about how much pace does Melillo and Vervink have. That's going to be key, but well played by Akabuzi. He was able to gain the track position and about a second and a half. It might just be enough. It's 1.4. Where is Zwack in all of this? He's rounding turn 2 right now as Matthew Zwack worked the Oracle at this point. And how big is this for Hamilton Akabuzi? If you can get a little bit of turf for Matthew Zwack, these two can work together and work themselves away from the rest of the field. This is a game of those who were able to go early and stayed at the front compared to those who saved and went late and have an opportunity. It's 3v2 right now. The chase is on.
It looks like the interval between Zwack and Melillo is 1.25 seconds. Is that going to be enough for them to catch a draft? I don't actually think so. I think these two might be on their own. We saw this one time earlier in the race. They were able to maintain this distance as long as they continue to work together. I think this is going to be a great situation where they can make a decision on if they want to make this a two-horse race or if they want to make this an 11-horse race.
I'd say it's 5 that they'll be worrying about more than 2 because the gaps are massive back to the Brewer brothers. Matthew Brewer's had a bit of an issue as they go through. Here comes the move, though, and the race for 3rd position. Spencer Ray, power move to the bottom. You're going to have to work together now if you want to get back. This is a huge moment in the context of this race, and Melillo's going to take that and receive and say, you know what? I'm going to make the move here into 3. We're going to have to coordinate at this point and effectively run through our leads at the front of this peloton.
Last time by, the interval between Melillo and that front leader was 1.45. It's now to 1.43. So it looks like they're able to maintain that time by, but I'm telling you right now, they have to be careful. With this side-by-side racing, it's going to be very easy for them to lose touch with these guys up front.
1/10 of a second, the difference gained on that lap. That's big in terms of the context of this race. There is the lap traffic factor. They will stay low and out of the way on the bottom, but how much work are you going to have to do? Akabuzi and Zwack, you're going to have to work together. Matthew Zwack, let's not forget, is from Michigan. How apropos would it be if he could find a victory in his home state on the run and the work he's done? He has been very quiet since his 2nd place start. He has done very well to keep himself with a car to the end, a ticket he has bought.
Just barely still hanging on, 1.42 between this pack and the leaders. It looks like that's going to be something that they just got to be mindful of, but I think the side-by-side of the leaders is going to be helping them here as they go into turn 1 and 2. That's absolutely true. Zwack, the last of our front row starters, out on track.
Melillo getting on the radio saying, let's not play games. If you want to make the pass, just do it. You're going to have to go and do it. You're going to have to work because this is the race at this point in time. You're really going to have to work hard and make sure that you're working together. If there is any discord between these top 3, then that's it. It's a race of 2, Zwack versus Akabuzi, unless, and this is the big unless, Zwack and Akabuzi start playing games at the front and they play chicken for who wants to be the leader heading on to the last lap.
Let's see, exiting the first sector onto the back stretch where the intervals end up falling out. 1.73 seconds between this pack and the leaders. They are losing time and losing it fast. This is something that they need to sort out and stop racing each other. Single file is the only way I think they're going to go ahead and make up time to these leaders.
Yeah, they are trying to gain this time, but it's just not happening for this second group as they look to try and chase this down between Vervink, Ray and Melillo. They've just got to keep working together. That's all they can do. It's some brilliant work between the front 2. Matthew Zwack and Hamilton Akabuzi got the memo immediately, and they've been working well. You can see Melillo up top, lets the 2 go. Now it's a turn for a half a straight. They are running relays at this moment in time. It's very similar to watching a 100-meter race. The fact that you get a relay for a straight, and then I'll go, and why not? Let's push it too wide. This is not part of the plan. Melillo getting a slide through the corner.
Yeah, Melillo knows exactly what happens here. He's going to get a really big super boost into turn number 1, and you'll see that that'll go ahead, and the relay won't work out for Spencer Ray. He'll opt to abort and go back. That question is can he do that so many times in a row? It's not going to be able to give him as much space as he wanted to this time by. And the leaders still looking to get more distance out and ahead, 1.88 seconds to the leaders.
I'm keeping an eye on Matthew Brewer's times because his times are really slow compared to everyone else. He's doing 32s. He might have damage somewhere on his car that he picked up over the last 10 laps or so, which would be a real shame for him, but he will try and fight on and find a finish. It's still 9th position for him at this stage, but at least right now, that gap is ticking the wrong way. It's negative delta that they're getting, not positive delta, and as such, look at that gap. It's almost 2 seconds over the line. I think that they're going to keep the pressure on these drivers in front, but it's time that's going to slowly tick away. They're in a race for third right now. It is firmly Zwack versus Akabuzi for this race win.
Yeah, they have it all sorted. Akabuzi, Zwack, they're going to be swapping back and forth, looking like an old 2-car tandem, having to make changes every single lap. It is a dance. It's a ballet between all of these drivers. The relay, as you said earlier, this is just a constant swap of people and positions in order to maintain the most momentum, the most draft, and the most speed.
They very much know that they are in a race for third. They're going to keep trying to work here to try and make sure it's a race for the victory. But the difference maker is going to be how long have they got left to try and make something happen. They are running out of time, and old Father Time doesn't wait for anybody. There was a certain quarterback who came from a Michigan school in Ann Arbor who managed to beat time for a very long time. His name just so happened to be Tom Brady. It's that sort of time that they're running out against.
Yeah, there is nothing but lights out between them and the leaders. The leaders have caught some lap cars, so that's going to give them a big boost here. You're going to see this pack behind them use those lap cars as well to help them boost, but not quite in the same spot. That's not going to be good for them. Those lap cars will stick in the first lane and not give them the draft for as long as they gave the leaders. That's going to move them back. Actually, this is massive 1.65 that they made up quite a bit of time in that lap car traffic exchange.
Huge lap then, and they're going to need them to come around a bit more often. Malillo trying to get back in. If they can continue to run that, they're going to be good because they caught them at just the right time. Here comes the push, though. Spencer Ray's not going to play the game. He's going to go down low. Malillo immediately out of it. Doesn't want to fight the 3 wide at all, and I don't blame him in this situation. There's not the time to be fighting 3 wide battles for this race at this stage, but now they're going to continue on with it as they all fan over the line. It's still 1.7. It hangs oh so delicately in the balance with less than 20 to go here in Michigan.
Corey looked like he got a little bit loose on entry into turn number 1. That turned into a slow corner for him, but it's going to be a fast corner into turn number 3 as we see the leaders here. They just know what they're doing. It's like 2 people who are on the same page constantly. Forward, backwards, you get a lap and you get a lap. They're swapping back and forth, but you see those people behind. Not too far behind, closing in, now down to 1.8, 1.7.
At one point, does the Alliance break, and it's big. 1.5 now over the line. It is close to the draft window. How close does Corey Vervink want to be to Justin Malillo? They very nearly lost their race right there.
Yeah, those tires were almost overlapping each other, but they were just offset enough that I think the tires did not catch. That was a close call for Corey and Justin Malillo. They managed to get away with another bullet dodge, but something that you got to be very woeful and careful about. 1.5 seconds is the interval between the front car of this pack and the leaders.
That was when they crossed the line, and of course it'll be a little bit different over, of course, on our timing and scoring. Uh-oh, troubles for Spencer Ray. He holds on to it. Oh my goodness me, he has saved it.
That was everything that they did not want to see. The 3-car pack, I think, could have had the opportunity over the long run to catch those 2 cars. But I think if it's 2 cars versus 2 cars, you're going to be stuck in a stalemate. That's unfortunate. Now he is back about 1.63 seconds behind the 2 cars that they was just racing with. That's going to basically, I think, seal that deal.
They're stuck in perpetuals like Jan Nepomniachtchi and Dingley Ren in the World Chess Championship over in Astana, Kazakhstan. But at this point in time, you've got Matthew Zwack, you've got Hamilton Akabuzi. They have a gap now. It's 1.9 over the line. Malillo and Vervink I think the number has called with 15 laps to go. With the loss of Spencer Ray from the group, I think they're going to have to admit defeat at this point. It's going to be down to these two at the front, but there is third and fourth. They're going to throw everything at it. Absolutely. There are two drivers who you'd look at and go, absolutely, two of the best drivers out there in this series in terms of commitment and how much they want it. But they know they are going to be in a race for third compared to these drivers in front, unless, again, we say it, the alliance breaks and they start working against each other here in the front two. They start throwing out hips, they start throwing blocks, they throw some elbows.
Yeah, there is some sort of alliance right now for these first two, but there's an alliance here between Justin Malillo and Corey Verbeek in the 12 machine. They're going to catch a lap car. This is going to give Justin Malillo a big run, but unfortunately for Corey, that's going to leave him fighting side by side with this lap down machine and not give him quite the run off of corner exit and not the same level of coordination that the leaders had passing that same lap car not too long ago, as we see Justin Malillo go down to get a draft from another lap car.
Let's not forget, there is a green-white checker should a caution come out inside the final 5 laps of this race. There is still a chance that this race might have one last twist in the tail. Matthew Zwack, the Michigan native, takes control of this race. You've got Hamilton Akabuzi from Club Illinois in second position as they dance their way around the triple tandem that is there behind the lap traffic. They make the move around. Hamilton Akabuzi to the point in the mock-up Jordan is now going to be looking to try and hold on. It is 11 to go at the line here in Brooklyn, Michigan.
As we see them go side by side, the second group has passed that group of 3 lap cars, not able to make up much time, but still looking to try and be a little bit quicker, not doing it that last time by. Still equal lap times, if not a little slower.
I tell you what as well, I wonder about the lap times of the likes of Jeffrey Brewer and Roger Saucier and whether they are actually potentially able to catch someone like Spencer Ray between now and the end of this race. I doubt that's an opportunity, but here comes the look again from Corey Vervinkt. He'll look to take third position away. He'll manage it. 10 laps to go here around this circuit, and they now start to understand, okay, the gap's 1.8. It's still there. There's still a chance. They just need something in the middle to latch onto. That's just where it's not there. And again, Akabuzi to the point makes the move. At what point do you just shake your head and go, no, I don't want to take a pull?
I'm not even certain when that's going to happen, but I think something to consider here is the fact that at some point you're going to need to make a decision on whether or not that lower line is something you're willing to risk it all for. And if so, dare I say it, a mistake could easily lead to you two getting collected and Malillo on the last lap, inheriting the lead based on a mistake that those two make.
2.5 hours worth of driving. It comes down to these emotional 8 laps of the race. Who is going to make a statement win here to start the season of your modernracingprince.com FTF1 Series season? Who has got the first of the Triple Crown in their back pocket? Akabuzi and Zwack, Malillo and Vervinkt. At the moment, it is the top 2 where it is going to look. Akabuzi again, still happy with this mark. They continue to count laps down. 7 laps to go. Zwack down low.
Going down low and going right back to the lead. Zwack, Akabuzi trading positions like they're trading cards. Nothing is going to be settled until we get to that last lap. This is all about maintaining momentum and swapping back and forth to have the best draft opportunities.
It's all about timing now. Who has the right timing? Who makes the move that is the most definitive? Vervinkt and Malillo, I think, have decided, you know what? Our race is over. They're fighting amongst each other now because they dropped about 0.6 of a second over that last lap. That was big. Now you've got to start thinking about, okay, forget everything behind. You've got the gap now. This is where you can start playing those games. And now Akabuzi is there. And the last lap, they are allowed to go to the apron, but not just yet, because now you're into your final 5 here of your US 500, and it all comes down to these big 5 laps.
These are going to be 5 laps that you need to execute absolutely perfect. If you make any mistakes, these will be easily taken advantage of, especially by the 2 in the back that are still connected. We saw it already happen with Spencer Ray, just got a little loose and lost connection. If these 2 make a mistake, it could easily lead to a similar situation. But as we see right now, side by side, I don't know about Hamilton Akabuzi, but I feel like Matthew Zwack will be willing to go down to the apron if so necessary. But has he practiced the maneuver in order to not get loose on the apron?
Questions to be asked at 4 to go. It will be 3 at the line. Akabuzi makes the move through 3 that we have seen so often. Zwack will love the drive coming off of 4 and take that drive towards the line. Who is going to take it? Lap traffic tandem comes along again. It helps Matthew Zwack make the move into 1.
Goes into 1, easily clearing this lap traffic. Not going to be a factor off of corner exit. Akabuzi stays in line directly behind. Makes a pass, going into turn number 3. He's going to be the leader this time. At the moment.
Oh, he goes! There he goes! There he goes! They're both in! Somehow Akabuzi saves it. Zwack finds the fence, and Akabuzi leads, but the group's going to come back. This is big! This is huge in this race. A life extended to Melillo and Verving, but how quickly up to speed has Akabuzi gone? He's away! How has he got away with it?
Matthew Zwack's car has a meatball. It gets cleared in order for him to continue to compete. But what is broken on that machine? Will it break further? Melillo goes on the inside, bringing Corey Vivek with him. Send Matthew Zwack to the 4th position. Just racing for the win. 1 lap ago.
White flag waves here at Michigan. A slide save of the century might just give the most sweetest of victories. It's not over for 2nd, 3rd and 4th. Zwack with the broken car is coming back. He wants to have a chance of this. This is brilliant stuff between them as they're going to race it out through 3 and 4. It's going to be Melillo trying to find a way through. Verving running the middle of the road fantastically. Up the road they're going to go racing for it. But at the front, Hamilton Akabuzi will come to the line and wins the brilliant US 500. What a drive. It's Melillo in 2nd. It's Vervingt in 3rd. It is the save of the century to win the race.
And unfortunate for Spencer Ray, will not get to the checkered flag. Wrecked in turn number 4. A destroyed machine. And anger over the radio with Andrew Schulte with some unfortunate contact going into the final corner of the race. You hate to see it, but what an incredible race to the finish.
An incredible race. It will promote Jeffrey Brewer up to 5th position. Seth Eggert will get a 6th. And Roger Saucier will finish the race maybe in 7th, or will finish the race in 7th as he limps it around. In fact, actually, Roger Saucier then will get himself home. But that there for Spencer Ray will be a real hurt. In fact, Saucier won't finish on the lead lap. He will also be classified a lap down because it looked like he ran into troubles. Maybe the fuel variety heading on to his final lap of the race. But there are the celebration scenes from Hamilton Akabuzi. It was heart-in-mouth stuff with just one lap to go, or a handful of laps to go, a couple. But he finds himself there in the Gatorade victory lane, and with good reason to as well. He has won an almighty race here overall. Let's take ourselves then a look at results here from the Michigan International Speedway and the US 500. It's a race of attrition, the understatement of the century. Hamilton Akabuzi started 28th. He started on the penultimate row of the field, and 2 from the penultimate row will get top 3 honors. Akabuzi takes the win, 2 hours, 35 minutes, 44 seconds, and will win by 1.5 over Justin Melillo and Corey Vervingt, who ultimately needed a little bit of help to get that done. They almost had a shot of victory here today. It's Matthew Zwack who will end up the unlucky loser in 4th position. He had a real chance. He just caught on the wrong place at the wrong time at the home track, with Jeffrey Brewer in 5th. Seth Eggert, the last finisher on the lead lap, in 6th. Spencer Ray will have his car demolished heading towards the line, so it will be classified as 7th. Roger Saucier will only manage 8th as he runs out of fuel heading to the finish. Nate Stewart will be 9th, and Josh Stoltz will round out the top 10.
Looking in 11th, Matthew Brewer. The other Brewer is going to bring it in 1 lap down. Last one lap down. Tommy Bordeaux will be 12th. Brandon Hawken, our pole sitter, 22 laps down, but still out there. He had an unfortunate tire go down. We didn't get to comment on that. He had to bring it down, get a new tire, and got that back out there. Cole Freilich, 5th. Non-stop, but consistent. He kept on pushing to get some points. Brian Sabelski, Andrew Schulte, Ryan Pendicio, and Paul Mikulijak, as well as Derek Catt and Nicholas Pressey, rounding out our top 20.
And then you get more retirees as we go through the list here. You look at the likes of Robert Lowry, Tyler Williams. They got caught up in the big one. Rafael Ruiz, we saw have the big spin. That one got caught out. Shame to see Blake Reynolds get caught out in an accident there. Not really much he could have done about it. Jonathan Goke certainly had the pace to win the race here today. He was very unfortunate as he tangled about with Josh Stoltz over the course of the race. The likes of Spencer Burns, Jack Painter, Joseph Weaver, and Nick Roten found themselves in trouble. And then the last 3 drivers out very early on, David Cabrera, and then you had the likes, of course, of Cali Bagent there, who was in trouble, as well as Cody Ware. Those 2 then tail ending the field for forgettable nights for the pair. What we do have, though, are drivers in and about ready for discussions and conversations about that race. We'll start with the driver who finished off in 2nd position, that being Justin Melillo, stood by with Joshua Mendoza.
Justin, I know this is a strong start for you. We thought you were going to lay back for most of the race, but you started to go and race really hard at around lap 70. Did you know at that moment that the race was completely on, that the field had thin enough?
I told myself that I was going to wait until we had less than a third of the field left in the main draft. And it ended up that maybe a little bit earlier than I expected, but it really did have that green feel to it. I did feel like we were going to have a little bit of green flag racing. Sure enough, we did. I don't know. I can't really explain it, but I hung back. I saved some tire on that first run. Had what I thought was a really good, perfect pit stop there at the end, and I might have been a little bit too conservative there, and I just didn't want to. I didn't want to take myself out of it, so I was a little bit cautious going in. I was a little bit cautious going out. It was about a 2-second gap. I mean, that's all it took. Hamilton and Zwack were just they were working really well together, and I think at a time me, Corey, and Spencer were able to just chop a little bit into it. We were so close to getting a sniff of their draft, and the tires gave up with about 6 laps to go. I was just holding on for dear life at that point. I am wore out because I put the force feedback up really high. It was just an incredible race to be a part of. I'm glad I stuck to my guns the entire night with my strategy. It paid off for a P2 finish, and I'll definitely take that to start the season.
40 points to Justin Melillo's name. 2nd place in the season standings. Only 1 race down, but a big race to get a 2nd place finish for Justin Melillo.
You know it. That Traction.gg Delara IRO1 was incredibly fast all night. I really feel bad for my teammate at Mercedes, a Mickey Mouse, Ryan Araki. He got a little bit bored on the strategy, and he went up there, and it ended up biting him. So unfortunately, we did not get double points today, but strong start nonetheless.
There we go. Justin Melillo happy with where he finished. Gonna go ahead and be happy for himself. Unfortunate for Ryan Naraki and his teammate, but that's Justin Melillo finishing 2nd.
Yeah, good, strong result there for him, but not much you can do. I'm going to take a chance here to steal Hamilton Akabuzi away from his team, having a very nice conversation, but joins us now. Hamilton, did your life just flash before your eyes with about 3 laps to go there?
Absolutely. I thought it was over because I thought he'd just be able to pull away, but I mean, unfortunately, he hit the wall, so it was like my fault for the spin, but I guess it ended up giving me the win, just easy. So I'll take it, but definitely could have been a really close finish, but fun race.
A fun race, and one which through the majority of the opening part of the race seemed to be all about avoiding the landmines around, with incidents left and incidents right. For you, how important was it for you to slowly build up your confidence through the race to get yourself into that position with a handful of cars remaining to give you that shot of victory?
Yeah, the track was changing constantly throughout the race. It just got hotter and hotter, and so it just the way the car drove kept getting different. So you had to at least know, like the bottom lane became unusable, and almost the second lane started to go away towards the end, which ended up making me spin. But yeah.
We just caught that actually on camera, and the ability to save that, I think, really epitomizes the way that you were able to scamper away and take it. You have your first victory in the back pocket. That is crucial in terms of what you want for this season. You will come out then of tonight's racing as the championship leader with the first of three in terms of the Triple Crown. How does Pocono sound 6 days from today?
At the speeds this car can reach, it'll be insanity for sure. But I'm hoping we end up with just a few more cars left at the end than this one. So
Well, we hope that happens. We run at less than 100 than what we've done today. It's a 400, but the floor is yours here, Hamilton. It's a victory for you overall. Anybody you'd like to give a thank you, find yourself with the US 500 in your back pocket.
thanks to like Hawken, Ryan Pendisco, Time Bordeaux, we were all working together in the race, and we were running like 1 through 4 at one point, but obviously wrecks happened. Yeah.
Hamilton Akabuzi, what a drive, what a win as he picks up the result that he absolutely wanted. Last but not least, we'll get a chance to chat with Corey Vervink, stood by with Joshua Mendoza.
Corey, a third place finish, something that, wasn't quite on the table. I knew you were battling with Justin for the third, but what did you need to get second place there?
Truthfully, I'm not really sure. I was on the outside there coming off of 4 heading towards the line, and I thought I had the run. I thought I had Matt behind me with the little air bubble in front, give me a little bit of a push, but hats off to Justin. He had a hell of a run. We were trading there for a while trying to get the draft to get us back up to the front, but it is what it is, but I'm just happy to get a podium if I'm honest with you. I didn't think when I rolled off at 29th today that a podium was on the cards. I mean, I love open wheel racing and I love open wheel oval racing, so I was hoping that I'd have a good run and first ever 500-mile race under my belt, and I got third. So I'm pretty happy with the result today.
There you go. As we see on the replay, Matthew's whack, and you almost got caught up in a massive wreck right there coming to the line. You were able to keep it together. How sketchy was that for you?
I honestly, I didn't really even feel the hit. He shot me a message saying sorry for giving you a little bump there. I mean, truth be told, I couldn't even feel it. I had a little wiggle there at the end, but I thought that was just what it normally felt like when you go down towards the bottom seam there at heading towards the line. But led some laps today. Ran up front, held my own, and I survived, and got on the podium. So good day overall. Shout out to the boys back at the shop at in Beer over in the United Kingdom. Shout out to all of them. They really got us set up with the gas powered machines here for Aston Farton. So real happy day for all of us.
There you go. 35 points to your name, third in the championship standings. A lot of points for a third place finish, something that you can be no less than happy with. I can only imagine.
Extremely happy. It's a great start to the season, and I wanted to do well at the big events, especially here at Michigan. But the ones that are really circled on my calendar are Spa and definitely the rectangle race. That's being from Speedway, Indiana myself. That's one I always look forward to. So probably both of those. Watch out.
You're going to be able to use that tunnel turn for a little bit of testing for the rectangle over at Pocono just 6 days from now.
Yep. All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on. Appreciate y'all having me out on track, and good job to everyone. Thank goodness we survived and got some good points on the board.
Corey with a third place finish. I believe Jake has caught up with Matthew Zwack, our fourth place finisher.
I have. Matthew, not the way that you wanted this race to end. I know you said in chat that you are officially sad, and well, I don't blame you. You did everything right in that race. You got yourself into a perfect position. You were trading it about. Christmas comes as, Hamilton has that spin, but, you just found yourself out of road and desperately unlucky. Just talk us through your thoughts.
Yeah, I wanted to be the last one to pit there just because of the tire difference at the end, and I enjoyed being in the clean air. I actually didn't think it was going to be a 2-car breakaway. I figured there was going to be like 4 or 5 of us at the end there, so it really surprised me to come out in front with just me and Hamilton, and we were rolling. I felt like I had the better tires in him. He looked like he was sliding around a lot. And I mean, obviously hindsight's 2020. That's the exact same move I made to get around Nate when he spun earlier in the race and just put it in the wall. And I'm not so much as mad at Hamilton. I'm just upset that we didn't get to duke it out together. Mistakes happen. And that was one of them. I really wanted it. You guys mentioned on the broadcast, home track, go here every year. So it would have been a nice one to get, but I had a ton of fun running it, so it's always the top priority.
Fun is the top priority. It always has been. But for you, this must be really encouraging. And you look at a field today which had so much attrition to it, number of key players in the race. You all week have been absolutely fantastic, qualifying on the front row, showing that you got a turn of cadence for this Dallara IR01. This car is a beast. How do you tame it?
Yeah, I do not do open wheel stuff at all. I am strictly a NASCAR guy, so this was a whole new learning curve for me, and thankfully we went to a track that was a lot more pack racy. I pride myself on being a hot lapper, being able to qualify well. That wasn't so bad. I just kind of pinned it and prayed, but in the race I spent a lot of time dropping back, not only for attrition, but to look at what everyone else is doing, and I personally found a lot of time, or just saving a lot of tire going to the bottom and lifting a ton, and it would also save fuel. And that's why I spent a lot of those ladder runs up at the front right before pit stops. I was kind of just observing everybody and saving and trying to get the hang of it and use it at the end.
Tricky Triangle comes along in 6 days. We head to Pocono. What's your thoughts heading into that in terms of building on what was, yes, a disappointing result in the end of it, but still a solid bank of points to go cash in on?
Yeah, I'm actually a huge Pocono fan. I think it's a very underrated track on the service. I have no clue how good at it I'll be in this car. Probably not great. Consistency is key. That's what I've realized running the leagues I've ran and the series I've ran. So having that points boost is nice, but I really can't rely on that and then have a couple bad finishes. I need to follow through with that and try and stay as high as I can in the points. And like we saw it in a lot of great people and racers in this car got wrecked. So the more I can keep them behind me, the better.
Well, we certainly hope that you are able to keep some drivers behind you. Unfortunate about the break, but still a very, very good result. 4th place overall for Matthew Zwack there as he joins us then for a conversation after the end of what was a very emotional race for him. But Josh, this is about the time that we bring ourselves over towards the close of racing. Just your final thoughts here from the US 500 as we head ourselves over to the Pocono 400 just 6 days from today.
Yeah, this was clearly an indicative of who is going to be fast on the ovals. We see a replay here of what happened to Spencer Ray. Unfortunately, not able to close out what was an incredible race for him, turning out to be a great points bank, and just got caught up with a lap car there as we see that replay. But as you were saying, there's a lot to take away from tonight's race, and it's mostly just stay out of the incidents. I think oval racing is going to be where you're going to spend most of the time this season, but it's also going to be where some of the most dangerous races happen, Jake. And I think as we go into more oval races, especially with Pocono next week, it's going to hopefully start to calm down, and we'll start to see a little bit more green flag and a little bit more pitch strategy.
It's not just an oval series. There are road races in the middle of the season to keep in mind as well. But there is a lot to dissect. But 6 days from today is the time, is the place. FTF.gg. You're going to want to join us for that one as we head over to Pocono for the second round of the championship. This, of course, being the all-important running of the modernracingprints.com FTF1 Series here in 2023. Modern Racing Prints, of course, are inspired by the clean designs that typified the start of the modern era of automobile racing. Their mission is to design timeless pieces that you'll display at the center of your life, of the races and memories you'll talk about for years to come. Printed to order and framed in sustainably sourced wood, their prints are designed to bring out shared love of racing into new spaces around the globe. You can head over to modernracingprints.com for more information on that. From all of the team that has got it done, from Zach Johnson, Joshua Mendoza, and myself, Jake Sperry, a pleasure to bring you all of the action, but it is a save of the century with 3 laps to go. What a drive by Hamilton Akabuzi. He outlasts everybody at Michigan and comes away with the US 500. We will see you at the Tricky Triangle in 6 days' time. Pocono awaits.